Jiang Fan has retrieved the golden Jiao scissors, but the Tao leader's murderous aura descends upon the heavenly mechanism pavilion. 6 nascent souls stand ready for a confrontation that will shake the foundations. Leave a like and subscribe to join the sect. Not all corpses can be refined into Yin Corpses. The body must be freshly deceased. Therefore, many of the Yin Corpses in the great Yin Sect are refined from powerful individuals who were killed for this purpose. The evil crow venerable plans to refine an ancient giant corpse. No. To be precise, he intends to attempt to refine an ancient giant corpse. Once successful, when the ancient giant war arrives, he can refine an army of countless ancient giant corpses. Jang Fan's eyes flickered, and he did not plan to make things difficult for the evil crow venerable over this matter, because an army of ancient giant corpses would be beneficial to Taikang's state, even if the evil crow venerable only uses them to protect the great Yin Sect and is reluctant to expend them in war. But the prerequisite for establishing an army of ancient giant corpses is to first slay a sufficient number of ancient giants. Therefore, he supported this matter, which was advantageous to the overall situation. It's just that he wasn't interested in the reward from the evil crow venerable. A different reward would be worth considering. Senior Tyrant, do you have any clues? Hua Wuying looked at Jiang Fan with anticipation in her eyes. Jang Fan chuckled softly. Do you think I'm a deity, that I have everything? In front of the Feng Yuan sect, how could he admit to anything? Hua Wuying snorted. So there are realms you can't reach, after all. She turned to the last agenda item on the jade scroll and said, since we've covered all other topics, let's seriously discuss how to overthrow Jiang Fan on the mainland. As everyone knows, the wicked Jiang Fan single-handedly damaged the heavenly ascending ancient road, causing us to climb over 9,000 steps in vain. How many dangers did we face? How many magical treasures, talismans, and spirit pills did we expend? And how many opportunities did we miss? His atrocious crimes are beyond words. As the second most affected after Feng Yuan sect, Hua Wuying bore deep grievances. Her words stirred the crowd of prodigies into an uproar. Muying snorted. More than that. Out of over 100 prodigies, only 50 returned. The rest mysteriously perished at the end of the heavenly ascending ancient road. If the villain Jiang Fan isn't executed, justice itself cannot stand. His call was echoed by many. Indeed, us prodigies of Taikang state were stepped underfoot by a mainland villain. Such a disgrace. Ruining our chance with the heavenly ascending ancient road is an unforgivable crime. Causing the deaths of so many prodigies deserves 100 times more punishment. I suggest that after capturing the holy fire, we ally and head straight for the mainland, leaving him with nowhere to escape. As the room filled with indignant fervor, Hua Wuying clenched her silver teeth. See what great grievances this villain has stirred up. He's done for. At this moment, Hua Wuying noticed that Feng Yuan sect was bowing his head, arms crossed over his chest, saying nothing. His eyes were even closed. He had dozed off. She was speechless. Brother Feng, aren't you going to say something? You're the one always shouting about twisting off Jiang Fan's head to use as a stool, telling others not to fight you for it. Now everyone's enthusiastically discussing and you're asleep. Pretending to sleep tactically, Feng Yuan sect was caught off guard, hurriedly stood up and said seriously, don't talk nonsense. I've never said such things. Hua Wuying was stunned and said, Brother Feng, are you all right? You brought up the agenda, but you act indifferent. Feng Yuan sect's eyelids twitched uncontrollably. This wasn't brought up by me. Either, a friend asked me to bring up this agenda. I've already cut ties with this friend. Hua Wuying frowned, strange and unreasonable. Falling short at the critical moment? Forget it, we won't count on you. We can do it without you. She finally looked at Jiang Fan with a smile and said, Senior Tyrant, why don't you say something? This mainland Jiang Fan, isn't he outrageous? Your insight is needed. Whoosh, 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 all eyes turned to Jiang Fan. For such an important topic, it wouldn't do for the main seat to remain silent. Jiang Fan rubbed his brow and said, I think there must be some misunderstanding here. You all should first ask your elders what truly happened at the end of the heavenly ascending ancient road. Don't make false accusations with mere inferences, lest you wrong the innocent and harm the good. Hua Wuying was extremely disappointed. She pouted. She hoped Senior Tyrant would join their ranks to bolster their cause. Unexpectedly, he sang a different tune. Senior Tyrant is kind-hearted. Since you are unwilling to join us, we won't force you. I only ask that you allow me some days after capturing the holy fire, when I return after dealing with that villain Jiang Fan. She fiercely mimed a slicing motion across the air. Jang Fan rolled his eyes and said meaningfully, all right, I'll grant you a few days' leave. After the exchange meeting ends, don't leave. I have something to discuss with you privately. Hua Wuying, suspecting nothing, continued discussing details with the group, even drafting detailed battle plans, all with the intention to land from all sides of the continent, strike at the heavenly mechanism pavilion, and capture Jiang Fan alive. An hour later, after discussing a few minor topics, everyone reluctantly stood up. With Feng Yuan's sect silent throughout, Hua Wuying became the host, smiling brightly as she declared, "All right, I announce today's meeting adjourned." But just then, standing in a corner, Jiao Yin, who had been silent all along, called out with a smile, "Hold on, everyone. I apologize for the interruption. I came here today with an important task entrusted by a Venerate." It's not surprising he had something to say. He had come uninvited and stayed silent throughout, never participating in the many discussions, standing out like a sore thumb. It was clear he was waiting for an opportunity to speak. But since it's a matter entrusted by a Venerate, this surprised them. Could the White Bone Alliance, a medium-sized force, have connections with a Venerate? Jang Fan, previously bored, suddenly sharpened his gaze. Reviewing the meeting today, he had an ominous feeling. Indeed, Jiao Yin produced a compass and a round bead imbued with the pressure of a Venerate. Smiling, he said, "I am here on behalf of Venerate Zinny, requesting the cooperation of those who have broken through to the tribulation crossing realm. Venerate Zinny suspects that the individual who practiced the Void Flow Thunder Force has recently broken through to the Nascent Soul realm. Therefore, I ask for your assistance." Everyone looked annoyed. Why suspect them? Feng Yuan's sect was displeased. "What if I refuse to cooperate?" Hua Wuying also frowned. "Are we being treated as criminals?" Both, being disciples from sects with a Venerate presiding, were naturally more confident when faced with such unreasonable demands. The other sect's disciples also looked resistant. If Venerate Zinny personally came, they would have no choice but to comply. But for some random person using Venerate Zinny's name to demand cooperation, that was too much. Huang Yin smiled and took out several more bottles of mixed element 9-colored marrow. With a bow, he said, "Everyone, Venerate Zinny won't let you be wronged. Those who cooperate with the detection can receive a bottle of mixed element 9-colored marrow as compensation. You've just broken through to the Nascent Soul realm and must be gathering this item far and wide. The Venerate has thoughtfully considered this for you." The 9 martial artists who successfully broke through to the Nascent Soul realm showed expressions of surprise and delight. The mixed element 9-colored marrow is a rare treasure. The stock within the 3 divine sect and 7 great sects isn't much. One needs to fulfill numerous missions to gain merits and then obtain a small amount. The jade bottle in front is filled with mixed element 9-colored marrow, worth a year's merit for ordinary elders. It certainly aids them in opening the second aperture. Their grievances vanished from their faces immediately. Feng Yuan's sect transformed anger into laughter and said, "The Venerate is too gracious. We juniors should naturally cooperate with him. What need is there for compensation? Let me be the first," Jiao Yin said with a smile. "All right, you just need to hold this special bead made by Venerate Zinny, and all your internal power will be activated. If there's void flow thunder force, the compass will react." Feng Yuan's sect immediately held the round bead. Just like before, Venerate Zinny used pressure to force various powers and bloodlines from within Yu Peiyuan and Fairy Yunshang. Several powers appeared behind Feng Yuan's sect, seemingly also a strange bloodline. Before everyone could see clearly, he quickly released the round bead. Jiao Yin focused on the compass in his hand, confirmed there was no reaction, and said, "Sorry to trouble Feng Daoyu. 1 bottle of mixed element 9-colored marrow as compensation." He handed over a bottle of mixed element 9-colored marrow, and Feng Yuan's sect accepted it with a beaming smile. Seeing him truly give it, the remaining Nascent Soul geniuses eagerly stepped forward. Jiao Yin said with a smile, "Please be patient, I will come one by one according to the number tokens." Raising his eyes, he looked toward Jiang Fan, a hint of dread flashing in his eyes, bowing and saying, "This tyrant Daoyu, forgive me for bothering you, but please hold this round bead." He courteously handed the round bead in front of Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan immediately felt various powers within him boiling, almost unable to be contained. Just being close had such an effect. If he were to hold it, what then? The Void Flow Thunder Force would definitely explode on the spot. This Venerate Zinny, truly an unyielding haunting presence. He wondered how he deduced that a Void Flow Thunder Force practitioner would soon undergo a tribulation, and he shrewdly used this gathering of heavenly prodigies. No, This gathering was very likely orchestrated by Venerate Zinny in secret, to gather those who would soon successfully undergo tribulation together. Otherwise, how to explain Hua Wuying crashing the event uninvited? This gathering was a trap, and Jang Fan had stumbled into it by accident. Staring at the round bead presented in front of him, countless thoughts flashed in his mind. Should he kill Hua Wuying? And what of the innocents present? Should they be silenced too, or should he turn and escape? But such an escape would cement his identity beyond any refutation. What awaited him would be endless pursuit. No place on heaven or earth could shelter him. What to do? Hua Wuying, seeing Jiang Fan not accepting, had a flicker of suspicion in his eyes. "Why don't you take it, sir? Are you afraid?" Smack! Suddenly, everything blurred in front of his eyes, and then a slap landed across his face. The crisp sound of a slap echoed across the arena. The entire martial arts arena fell into a deathly stillness. Hua Wuying, clutching his burning, handsome face, anger blazing in his eyes. What's the meaning of this? Having reached Nascent Soul realm and yet slapping like mortals, isn't it undignified? Jang Fan quietly gazed at him and said, "Do you know my name?" Hua Wuying's face was calm. "Is your name important? A nickname like Tyrant is obviously not a real name, but does it matter? No matter the name, it wouldn't evade Venerate Zinny's scrutiny." Jiang Fan calmly said, "Then do you know the registered disciple of Venerate Zinny?" Hua Wuying snorted. "Of course it's Jiang Fan, first on the heavenly ascending ancient road." "What are you trying to say?" "This matter is known only to the higher-ups of each sect. Everything about the heavenly ascending ancient road, including Venerate Zinny accepting Jiang Fan as a registered disciple, was suppressed by them. The disciples naturally were unaware, but Hua Wuying did know." Jiang Fan nodded, took out his heavenly mechanism pavilion disciple token and placed it on the table. The side engraved with Jiang Fan was revealed. Hua Wuying's expression froze at the sight. "Jiang Fan? You are Jiang Fan, the registered disciple of Venerate Zinny. How is it possible?" Jiang Fan unhurriedly turned to Yu Peiyuan. "Senior sister Yu, tell him who I am." Yu Peiyuan, whom Jiang Fan had assisted all the way to the heavenly ascending ancient road, was well known by all. She observed the shocked crowd with helplessness and said, "Everyone, the senior in front of you is the vile villain Jiang Fan you intended to suppress." Wasn't anyone curious why Senior Feng remained silent? Because he recognized Senior Jiang Fan and dared not suppress him. The entire venue plunged into a dead silence. Only the sound of rapid breathing could be heard, especially Hua Wuying. At this moment her vision darkened, the world spun for her. Her world had collapsed. Jiang Fan ignored them. He stood up and took the compass from Hua Wuying's hand, calmly saying, "Using my master's belongings to detect me? Quite the idea you've got." Hua Wuying's face turned alternately pale and flushed. This was like meeting you guys, one's own side fighting itself. No wonder Jiang Fan was angry, venting frustration for the canine-like eyes failing to see the towering mountain. But was it necessary to slap him? And in front of everyone? He felt deeply insulted and said in a deep voice, "How could I know you were a disciple of the Venerate without clarification from Jiang Daoyu?" Jiang Fan calmly said, "My master's ways focus not on cause but on outcome. A disciple of the Venerate is not to be insulted. You, an outsider, dare attempt to detect a Venerate's disciple, a slap is lenient on you. You also breached conduct. Don't repeat it. Now, cooperate with me and extract the Void Flow Thunder Force Practitioner. Give the round bead to this Hua Wuying." Business first, Hua Wuying knew that with a Venerate Zinny's disciple present, he couldn't lead things. Besides, everyone's goal was the same, to assist Venerate Zinny. Hua Wuying felt dizzy, the world spinning before her eyes. She held the round bead, demonstrated 2 powers, but no Void Flow Thunder Force. Next, then the next. Under Jiang Fan's directions, the tests were quickly completed. Hua Wuying said, "Looks like they aren't here after all." Jiang Fan snorted, "Aren't I still here? You should test me as well." Hua Wuying huffed after having been slapped, twitching at the corners of his mouth. "Jiang Daoyu jests. No matter who I might suspect, I dare not suspect you." A disciple personally taken by Venerate Zinny. How could he be a suspect? Letter 1D453, letter 1D45F, letter 1D452, letter 1D626, letter 1D4CC, letter 1D452. Letter 1D4B8, letter 1D630, letter 1D45A. Apologies for the trouble. I take my leave, leaving the martial arts arena. He turned his head, glaring angrily at Jiang Fan. Then he took out a communication jade pendant and reported the news truthfully. Reporting to the Venerate. The newly advanced Nascent Soul disciples of Taikang State have all been tested, and there is no void flow thunder force among them. However, the Venerate's disciple was present, and he also underwent a successful tribulation. But he was not tested. I ask for the Venerate's understanding. Deadbeat thinking for a moment. Feeling the burning sensation on his face, he silently erased the last 3 sentences. Better to avoid trouble than to cause it. If Venerate Zinny were to ask about Jiang Fan and how the two met, should he mention that incident when Jiang Fan publicly embarrassed him? At the boundary of the fire worship sect, Venerate Zinny stood on a mountain, hands behind his back, gazing into the territories of the fire worship sect. Although the boundary lay directly in front of him, he dared not step in casually. Beep beep, the communication jade pendant sounded. Upon looking down, he lightly frowned. Nothing. The disciples transitioning at the 3 divine sects and 7 great sects are all here, he replied. Confirmed all were checked. Shortly, Hua Wuying responded. All 9 were checked, none were void flow thunder force practitioners. Venerate Zinny's eyes narrowed. He desperately wished to check in person. But upon glancing fearfully at the fire worship sect's direction, he could only dismiss the thought. Hua Wuying is reliable. If he certainly says there's none, then truly there is none. Could it be within the numerous smaller sects? With this thought, he disappeared into thin air. Fire worship sect, the Great Hall. The red-skinned and short-statured elder lightly glanced at Venerate Zinny's direction, then withdrew his gaze. Didn't find the lad. The sect hierarch in front broke into a cold sweat, saying, reporting to senior, searched for 5 days, found no trace. Probably realized the grave error and fled in fear of punishment. The elder snorted, quick on his feet. Better prepare, the fire spring can't be contained, it's erupting stronger than in previous years. Expected to erupt earlier. The sect hierarch felt slightly alarmed. The timing not only moved up, but the eruption is more fierce. Martial arts arena. Unaware that he narrowly escaped 2 ordeals, Jang Fan felt heavily burdened. Void flow thunder force hangs over him like a sharp blade. It could erupt at any moment. His recent quick thinking offered only temporary relief. This many people transitioned recently. Venerate Zinny is bound to find him eventually. Furthermore, at the end of the heavenly ascending ancient road, Venerate Zinny had sensed void flow fire force, and Jiang Fan happened to be nearby, already suspicious. If he learns of Jiang Fan's recent successful transition, Venerate Zinny surely would suspect him. At that moment, everything would be over. Facing Venerate Zinny's full pursuit, even if Jiang Fan had incredible abilities, he'd find no place to hide. He must find a way to remove the threat. The 9 Nascent Soul experts, completely oblivious, each holding warm, mixed-element 9-colored marrow, cheerfully left the martial arts arena. Hua Wuying mingled within, casually chatting with Xianxia as they left. But she barely walked a few steps when she couldn't move anymore. Her rear collar was grabbed by a powerful hand. Where are you heading? Hua Wuying's face instantly fell, forcing a smile that looked worse than crying. Senior Jiang, any instructions? Jang Fan chuckled as he pulled her back with a teasing smile. Planning to denounce me earlier. Hua Wuying's face stiffened. She hurriedly said, Not just me. There's Ma Qingyan, Yunqi, Senior Liu from Myriad Phenomena Void Realm, and... She loyally listed all those who eagerly spoke out. Everyone joined in denouncing Jiang Fan. Couldn't leave just herself behind. The named people stood frozen, neither daring to leave nor facing Jiang Fan. The rest who weren't named ran away relieved. Jiang Fan glanced around, chuckled, and then focused back on Hua Wuying. Pinching her cheek, he said, But you shouted the loudest, jumped the highest, cried the most. Even said to tie me up, hang me upside down for 49 days. Still want to do that? Hua Wuying wanted to cry, Won't do it. Strike me 64 times? Her face twisted by his pinch, she whimpered. Won't hit. Prick me 81 needles? Tears welled in her eyes. Won't prick. Jang Fan huffed. A debt fairy wanting to denounce me. I'll sell you right away. Hua Wuying finally broke down and cried. Wah, master, I quit. I want to go home. Please come get me, Wah. Jiang Fan impatiently said. Fine, I'll contact your master now. He took out the jade pendant, sending a message to Song Lingyu. Are you there? 10 days are up, time to pay back. Why haven't you replied? Playing dead? I'm selling your disciple. Reply or I really will sell. 10,000 tribulations, holy temple, madhouse. Sanking Shangren frowned at Song Lingyu sunning herself in the courtyard. Why not reply to them? In such a hurry, must be something important. Song Lingyu, holding the communication jade pendant, stammered. No problems. Just some nuisance messages from unknown sources. No need to bother. She tore the constantly beeping jade pendant from her waist, tossing it into the space storage device. Finally, peace returned. No choice, unable to borrow the sky ascending pill, she must act dead. Sanking Shangren puzzled but didn't probe. Yet suddenly remembered another thing. By the way, your disciple Hua Wuying. She left with you, why isn't she back? Song Lingyu's body stiffened, her eyes shifting into a gloomy look, she sighed. What disciple? Why would a person like me have a disciple? Hua Wuying, who is that? Ah, sighing, she walked back into the house. Sanking Shangren shook his head and said helplessly, Ah, gone mad again. Forgot the disciple. Hope Hua Wuying stays safe. Fire Worship Sect Martial Arts Arena. Facing countless unread messages, Hua Wuying cried aloud. Her cries grew louder. Jiang Fan, too dark-faced, said, Really turned into a dodger. The first time selling on credit, you taught me a harsh lesson. Unreasonable. Looking at those still present in the martial arts arena, Jang Fan said, Selling Hua Wuying now just 4 sky ascending pills and she's yours. Anyone interested? Ma Qingyan and others exchanged glances. Taking State's leading female prodigy Hua Wuying, now Jang Fan's debt payment. This world seems upside down. Bang, suddenly. A dazzling fire column accompanied by a thunderous roar shot up skyward. The column reached the heavens, burning up the clouds, piercing deep into the sky. A massive hole burned into the firmament. Multicolored, strange fires fell from the sky. Their emitted heat was terrifying. Each piece had city-burning power. Some, if touched by anyone below Nascent Soul level, would vaporize. The Fire Worship Sect's disciples, well-prepared, rushed towards the falling strange fires. They displayed their divine skills to intercept the flames. Firstly, to reduce the disasters from the fire spring eruption. Secondly, to enhance their fire Dao divine power. Jiang Fan's eyes narrowed. Speaking of which, wasn't his Cayenne Land true fire technique strengthened by absorbing strange fires? Staring at the descending strange fires, his eyes lit with fervor. Because 2 of the fires had even greater power than the Asura karmic fire he obtained earlier. Jang Fan now dared not use the Void Flow Thunder Force, let alone cultivate it. There's no problem with the Void Flow Fire Force, right? He stared at the 2 blazing flames, wanting to make a move. From deep within the Fire Worship Sect came the call of the sect hierarch. Friends from various sects, the fire spring eruption has occurred earlier than expected. Please prepare your holy fire orders and be ready to intercept the holy fire. Be sure to contain it with the holy fire order to avoid being burned. It turned out that the holy fire order not only served as an invitation qualification, but also had the function of accepting the strange fire. Hua Wuying suddenly remembered that besides coming to the martial arts arena to challenge Jiang Fan, she had another task, to find an extra holy fire order for Senior Tyrant. But the subsequent series of events made her forget about it. Yunqi, do you have any extra holy fire orders? I want to find one for Senior Jiang as well, Hua Wuying asked urgently. Yunqi spread out his hands. Where am I supposed to find extra holy fire orders? I do have 2 friends who don't plan to intercept the holy fire, but they've both left, and it's too late to find them now. She glanced at Jiang Fan. Although she wanted to befriend him too, the holy fire was a very important opportunity. Was it worth giving the only opportunity to him? After contemplating for a moment, several prodigies decisively gave up on using the holy fire order to befriend him. Befriending Jiang Fan could wait for another opportunity. Intercepting the holy fire might not happen again for them next time. Senior Jiang, use mine. Yu Peiyuan jogged over and took the holy fire order from her waist. Jiang Fan was taken aback. What about you? Don't tell me you don't care about the holy fire. If she didn't care, she wouldn't have crossed half of Taikang State to come here. Having failed tribulation, she needs to accumulate resources for another chance. Yet she was willing to give this precious opportunity to Jiang Fan. Yu Peiyuan shook her head and said, I'm only in the core formation realm. The level of holy fire I can intercept is limited. The holy fire order in my hand is somewhat wasted. Go quickly, don't delay. Otherwise, even with the holy fire order, you won't be able to grab any top-grade holy fire. Jiang Fan thought for a moment. Nodded heavily. Okay, thank you, Senior Sister Yu. He took the holy fire order and quickly dashed out of the martial arts arena, transforming into thunder and disappearing into the clouds. After he left, Ma Qingyan looked regretful and said, Junior Sister Yu, you were too careless. This holy fire order could have allowed you to intercept a powerful strange fire to honor Qi Yin Master. He would consider you again next time there is a tribulation opportunity. By giving it to Jiang Fan now, he might not really appreciate it. Is it worth it? Yu Peiyuan showed a hint of helplessness. I couldn't help it. Junior brother Jiang has been so good to me. I couldn't stand seeing him come all this way for nothing. Ma Qingyan shook his head and said, You'll regret this. Let's go, he called out, and several disciples from the Heaven and Sea Pavilion followed him into the clouds. Yu Peiyuan could only sit alone on the long steps of the martial arts arena, enviously watching everyone excitedly intercept the holy fire. In the sky, Jiang Fan set his sights on the two most powerful strange fires and flew towards them. But how could the strong practitioners present not have noticed? Before him, several figures exuding the aura of 6 apertures and even 7 apertures had already arrived. A closer look revealed they were members of the fire worship sect, who had the advantage of being close. The fire worship sect leader was even more in the lead, using his holy fire order to intercept a powerful strange fire. The other one was taken by a powerful disciple of the fire worship sect. The sect hierarch laughed heartily and said, Honored guests, please choose from the remaining strange fires for interception. Their power isn't weak either. The great Yin Sect master scoffed. You want me to pick up scraps? I'm not coming next time. The Jiangshan first-class building owner was also somewhat helpless. Gu Zinner glared angrily at the quick-moving members of the fire worship sect. They had snatched much more than just the 2 most powerful strange fires. Any slightly more powerful ones were all targeted by the strong of the fire worship sect. They could only choose from the leftover holy fires. Though still worth some money, they were nowhere near as valuable as top-grade holy fire. Jiang Fan also smiled bitterly. Trying to pick up the leftovers from the fire worship sect? Their specialty is playing with fire. Wanting to seize the best strange fire was really unrealistic. I should be honest, and according to the fire worship sect's initial intent, pick up the unwanted lower-grade holy fire to mitigate some disasters. Watching members from various sects moving towards the lower-grade holy fire, the sect leader of the fire worship sect revealed a satisfied smile. They had both eliminated the threat of the fire spring and prevented the people from the outer sect from getting a significant advantage, achieving their optimal outcome. However, this year's fire spring seems weaker than in previous years. It doesn't appear to be as dangerous as the elders said, right? He pondered as he looked toward the earth, at the fire spring embedded deep within the fire worship sect. Flickering flames were appearing and disappearing, and their frequency was increasing, not at all looking like they were calming after the eruption. Rather, it seemed as if a larger fire column was brewing. The thought struck him and his face changed dramatically. He hurriedly shouted, Move away! The fire spring hasn't stopped. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Traditionally, the fire spring only erupted once, with no history of a second eruption. This led everyone to neglect the danger. Including him, several people had unknowingly moved directly above the fire spring to snatch the holy fire. If it erupted now, the consequences would be. As he cried out, his figure flashed back swiftly. Yun Huo, who was nearby, realized something was wrong as soon as he heard the sect hierarch's call, but the fire spring had already erupted. 100 Jang fire column, twice as thick as before, shot instantly into the sky, not giving Yun Huo any time to react. He only felt his vision turn red, then blacked out. However, the expected burning pain didn't come. As his vision cleared, he found himself on a thunder dragon that had been mostly burned away. A black-clothed young man was pulling his arm. Who else could it be but Jiang Fan? Jiang Fan? Yun Huo exclaimed in surprise, lowered his voice when he realized the fire worship sect was looking for him. His face showed a kind of shock he couldn't suppress. This guy didn't run but stayed at the fire worship sect. Wasn't this walking into the lion's den? But Jiang Fan had no time to pay attention to him, focusing intently on the fire column. Your fire worship sect's losses are not small this time. At least 4 Nascent Soul realm practitioners got a direct hit from the fire column. Among them was even a 5 apertures Nascent Soul. As the fire column gradually dissipated, were there any figures left? All 4 Nascent Soul experts were reduced to ashes on the spot, not even leaving a trace. The sect hierarch of the fire worship sect finally came to his senses, letting out a cry of grief and rage. Long Yan Saint! The disciples of the fire worship sect also showed expressions of unbearable sorrow. Long Yan was a revered elder with deep mastery in the Fire Dao divine power. He perished just like that. Soon after, several heartbreaking cries erupted again. They were from the friends of the other 3 Nascent Soul realm practitioners. Jiang Fan was stunned. Despite the strength of the nascent soul realm in the face of natural forces, they were so insignificant, falling as a group at the whim of fate. With a whoosh, the sky was once again pierced by the fire column, creating a giant hole. Colorful, strange fires fell one after another. Among them, at least 4 strange fires had reached the top level, the same level as the one the sect hierarch had just intercepted. There was also a green flame, like a lotus leaf. Its terrifying heat far surpassed the top-grade strange fires. The Usura karmic fire Jiang Fan absorbed was less than 1/10 as powerful in front of this flame. Could this be a top-grade holy fire? If it could be obtained, wouldn't it allow the Kayan Land true fire technique to reach great success instantly? And with it, the void flow fire force would greatly progress. As the 5 elements divine monarch said, any one of the void flow 5 forces reaching great success could give birth to the origin of its element. If the fire origin is born, wouldn't it render all the fires of the world harmless? What terrifying power would it achieve then? In an instant, Jiang Fan's heart pounded wildly. Without hesitation, he left Yun Hu behind, rushing straight towards the emerald top-grade holy fire. But Jiang Fan wasn't the only one who discovered it. Letter 1D627, letter 1D633, letter 1D626, letter 212F, letter 1D4CC, letter 1D626. Letter 1D4B8, letter 1D630, letter 1D4C2, the fire worship sect leader sensed it too, gasping in shock. How could netherworld ghost fire from the Earth's core erupt as well? This is the strange fire feared by even late-stage nascent soul experts. His eyes blazed with fervor. If this fire could be refined, his 7-orifice nascent soul cultivation would fear no 8-orifice nascent soul expert. Even encountering a raging 9-aperture nascent soul, he could severely wound it with this fire. Whoosh! He immediately soared into the sky. The great Yin Sect master also sensed the fire's extraordinariness, his face brimming with deep apprehension. Such powerful, strange fire is a nemesis to martial artists like them who primarily use yin qi. The netherworld ghost fire before him made him extremely uneasy. He had no doubt that the yin qi he'd condensed for years would melt like paper before this fire. Even the refined yin corpse would lose control under this fire. It cannot fall into someone else's hands. Otherwise, it would surely become a problem for the great Yin Sect. At once, he dashed forward as well. The Jiangshan first-class building owner laughed heartily. Sure enough, the real show is just beginning. He tore open a space scroll, flickering ahead to the forefront in an instant. The expressions of all the experts present changed drastically as they rebuked in unison. Stop! Get away! This strange fire belongs to our fire worship sect. Don't touch our flame! The Jiangshan first-class building owner laughed aloud, striking the emerald flame with the holy fire order. However, a black shadow flew in at an extreme speed, tearing through the void. It was the great Yin Sect master, painfully releasing a strange raven's shadow that bore some resemblance to the raven tattoo on Evil Crow Venerable's face. It snatched the netherworld ghost fire in its beak, fleeing into the distance. Though it was rapidly consumed by the netherworld ghost fire, it managed to deliver it to the great Yin Sect master. But before it could escape far, the fire worship sect leader locked eyes on the raven. With a shudder, a blaze surged from within the raven, burning it to ashes. Once again, the netherworld ghost fire was ownerless. The experts of each sect displayed their divine skills. They compete fiercely. The sky was intertwined with brilliant arcs of divine arts, dazzling and mesmerizing. For a moment, it was hard to distinguish who was who. Jang Fan's eyes sparkled brightly. These past days, he had not yet used the void fishing rod. Today's 3 uses hadn't been utilized either. According to the test of fishing Hua Wuying previously, as long as he locked onto a target with his mind, he could snatch it across the void. Thus, he flashed into the main hall of the fire worship sect, then decisively took out the void fishing rod, and as his heart desired, cast it out. At this moment, the great Yin Sect master and the fire worship sect leader were fiercely battling over the netherworld ghost fire. Just one step away, they could grab the netherworld ghost fire, and while they were locked in heated combat, beneath the netherworld ghost fire, unexpectedly a crack appeared, and suddenly a golden hook emerged, dragging the netherworld ghost fire into the void. By the time they realized something was amiss, the netherworld ghost fire had vanished without a trace. When they sensed it again, it was unexpectedly in a hall. Jiang Fan reeled back the netherworld ghost fire and quickly stowed away the void fishing rod while no one was looking. This treasure made people more envious than the netherworld ghost fire and must not be discovered. After putting away the fishing rod, he took out the holy fire order and struck it on the fearsome netherworld ghost fire. With a swoosh, the netherworld ghost fire was absorbed into the holy fire order. Without a second thought, he used the cloud shadow escape to crash through the hall. When the great Yin Sect master, fire worship sect leader, and Xianxia first-class building owner arrived, they saw Jiang Fan riding the thunder dragon into the sky. They shouted loudly, simultaneously trying to intercept Jiang Fan, but the thunder dragon was too fast. In an instant, it disappeared from sight. The great Yin Sect master, angry and annoyed, shouted, "In my presence, you think a junior like you can escape?" He pulled out a mirror, black as ink, as tall as a person, and shouted in the direction where Jiang Fan disappeared. "Heaven and earth as a prison, all paths lead back. Return!" Swoosh. Jiang Fan, who was fleeing straight into the distance, suddenly felt the space around him curve into a circle. The thunder dragon circled once, instantly returning to its starting point. Before he understood anything, the great Yin Sect master and fire worship sect leader attacked together. Both were 7 orifice nascent souls, and their attacks were nothing short of moving mountains and filling seas. How could Jiang Fan possibly withstand it? Without hesitation, he invoked the banished immortal drunk. Silently chanting the spell, a profound soul fluctuation swept those around him. Being a 4 apertures nascent soul now, anyone with soul power not surpassing him by 3 levels would be affected. Even a 7 orifice nascent soul would be unable to avoid it. As the spell was uttered, both the great Yin Sect master and fire worship sect leader staggered, their consciousness slowed. Their attacks paused momentarily. The Xianxia first-class building owner, who had somehow managed to reach Jiang Fan's back, staggered even more. Only a 5 apertures nascent soul, the effect was much stronger on him. Jiang Fan glanced at him. This guy was so sneaky. He seized the gap, using cloud shadow escape again. But instead of futilely escaping afar, they'd already controlled the surrounding space. Escape was pointless. He could only hide. The hidden spirit talisman from Sanking Mountain would be of great use. Scanning into the depths of the fire worship sect, he instantly teleported inside. And the great Yin Sect master, recovering first, angrily shouted, "Boy, you even master the soul secret technique?" He struck Jiang Fan from a distance. Jiang Fan's expression shifted, and he decisively took out the sky observation treasure, reflecting 70% of the force back. The remaining 30% struck him, sending him flying into an underground palace entrance of the fire worship sect. The holy fire order slipped from his grip, flung out. Suppressing the metallic taste in his throat, he hurriedly scrambled up, reaching for the holy fire order. Unexpectedly, an old man appeared before the holy fire order, bending down to pick it up, saying, "Young man, don't throw good things around carelessly. Keep it safe." Jiang Fan quickly let out a small breath and stepped forward, saying, "Thank you, old sir." But, as the old man straightened and looked at Jiang Fan, and Jiang Fan finally saw his face clearly. Jiang Fan tried nonchalantly to take back the holy fire order, but no matter how hard he pulled, it seemed to be stuck in the old man's palm and wouldn't budge. The red-faced old man stared intently at Jiang Fan. "It's you." Jiang Fan averted his gaze. "Not me, you must be mistaken, senior." Fan, still trying to argue, "You've blackmailed my crystal stones 100 times over. I'd recognize you even if you turned to dust." Jiang Fan cried out in despair. What kind of day is today? He had spent 5 or 6 days peacefully in the fire worship sect, but today was the last day, and he happened to encounter this elder. "Elder, to be honest, it was all my little female companion's idea. By the way, she's Hua Wuying from 10,000 Tribulation's holy temple under Master Song Lingyu. Elder, grievances have a source, don't wrong an innocent man." Bam. The red-faced elder stomped and cracked the ground, laughing angrily. "You little rascal. You're honest, then there wouldn't be any schemers in the world." Jiang Fan's scalp tingled. Feeling resigned, he let go of the holy fire order and said, "All right, let's consider the holy fire order as my apology to you, elder. Farewell, farewell." Immediately he summoned a thunder dragon to flee, but who would have guessed? The thunder dragon had just descended when the elder glanced at it, causing it to dissipate on the spot. Instantly, Jiang Fan felt his whole body freeze, unable to move. It felt just like facing the evil crow Venerable. This made Jiang Fan gasp in shock, incredulously gazing at the red-faced elder. Elder, are you a Venerate?" He felt the world's overwhelming hostility towards him. He accidentally swindled someone, and it happened to be a divinity transformation Venerable. In the entire Taikang state, How many divinity transformation venerables are there? The chance of encountering one is 1 in a billion, right? But he truly met one. If someone said this isn't the world's hostility, he wouldn't believe it even if it killed him. Ha! You do know venerates after all? The red-faced elder chuckled. Jiang Fan swallowed hard, saying, Elder, please calm your anger. I am an officially appointed translator by the Wanjai Temple Venerable, the most trusted partner of the True Word Venerable, and the Bodhisattva's designated imperial messenger. We are all on the same side. The red-faced elder fumed. Who the hell is on the same side with you? You little black merchant. Let me dig out your heart and see how black it is to blackmail my crystal stones 100 times over. Oh my, Jiang Fan's eyes widened. What is the true identity of this old man in front of him? Such audacity in his tone. At this moment, he spotted something odd. Though the elder possessed strength akin to a divinity transformation venerable, he lacked a divine ring at the back of his head. Could it be his body has problems, making his cultivation in divinity transformation realm unstable? Rolling his eyes, Jiang Fan quickly spoke before the elder took action. Elder, have you heard of space-time dust? I know where it is. The red-faced elder's eyes shone brightly. Space-time dust? You, a black merchant, actually know the whereabouts of space-time dust. Seeing there was hope, Jiang Fan hurriedly said, Elder, to be honest, I am the vice-building master of Jiangshan first-class building. I know a great deal about commodities across the continent. The red-faced elder showed a surprised expression. No wonder his heart is so dark. Turns out he's from Jiangshan first-class building and even a vice-building master. At this moment, the great Yin Sect master, the fire worship sect leader, and the Jiangshan first-class building owner all hurried over. Upon finding the holy fire order in the elder's hands, their eyes instantly showed heat. Fortunately, the fire worship sect leader bowed deeply, waking them up in shock. Elder, why have you come out? The red-faced elder took one look at the holy fire order in his hand and replied, The netherworld ghost fire has appeared, so I came to have a look. He casually stuffed it into his sleeve. Their flaming hearts were immediately doused with ice water. The elder before them was mysterious beyond measure. None dared offend him. If the netherworld ghost fire ended up in their hands, nobody would dream of taking it back. The fire worship sect leader, disappointed, cupped his hands and said, We shall depart. The others retreated respectfully. Are you the Jiangshan first-class building owner? Suddenly, the red-faced elder called to the building owner. The latter quickly turned around, responding respectfully. Yes, elder, do you have any instructions? The red-faced elder snorted heavily. You at Jiangshan first-class building best be careful. How deceitful have your disciples become? This is outrageous. The Jiangshan first-class building owner inexplicably received a scolding but could only nod in confusion. I respectfully follow elder's advice. He cautiously receded. His mind wondered. It's time to rectify the atmosphere within the building. Profiting a double or triple the amount on a commodity is sufficient. To extort 10 times the profit. Isn't it courting heaven's wrath? Enough so that even this elder couldn't bear to watch. After everyone had left, the red-faced elder finally turned to Jiang Fan, saying with hands behind his back, Follow me? Jiang Fan, helpless, could only grit his teeth and follow the red-faced elder into the underground palace. Before entering the underground palace, he quickly signaled the little Killin to run off with the heavenly thunder stone first. He had too many good things. He couldn't let a venerate search him. The temperature inside the underground palace was even higher. Upon reaching the bottommost secret room, Jiang Fan's clothing began to combust. He had to use Nascent Soul power to keep the heat at bay. Nervously, he stood in the room, his eyes darting everywhere. Suddenly, he noticed a familiar blueprint on the table, struck speechless. Wasn't that the design blueprint for the Phoenix Feather 9 Flames fan? That means the elder who True Word Venerable requested for artifact refining was the red-faced elder before him. The red-faced elder's face sank as he looked at Jiang Fan. Tell me, where is the space-time dust? Jiang Fan's eyes rolled, replying, Elder, I know a mysterious person selling space-time dust. If the elder requires it, I can step in and buy it. Since the elder seemed to have bodily issues, he was surely in need of it. With such leverage, there seemed hope of escaping today. But who would have guessed the red-faced elder's next words plunged Jiang Fan into an icy pit. I don't need it. I'm just curious where such space-time dust came from in Taikang State. Since you know nothing, Jiang Fan's heart skipped wildly. Knowing the evil crow venerable's ruthless nature, he understood too well how insignificant his life was in a venerate's eyes. Killing him was like crushing an irritating bug to a venerate. He quickly pleaded. "Elder, spare me." The red-faced elder chuckled. "Give me a reason to spare you." Jiang Fan's mind raced, saying, "I can move the connecting sky-black pillar. When the ancient giant descends someday, perhaps it can help." The red-faced elder showed slight surprise. "You're the kid who carried the connecting sky-black pillar to the White Horse Temple from the continent. Quite unexpected. But this reason isn't enough. Whether you move it or not, it won't change the outcome of the ancient giant's arrival." His fingers tapped on the table, sizing up Jiang Fan with interest. "I'll give you one more chance." Jang Fan was shaken. Even this didn't work, seeing the red-faced elder's fingers tapping faster and losing patience. Jiang Fan's heart sank rapidly. Still, he couldn't think of anything that would convince a Venerate to let him go with mere words. Should he offer up his magical treasure for survival? No way. That would be drinking poison to quench thirst. The other party would ask for more and more, eventually leading to inevitable death. Suddenly, an idea struck Jiang Fan like lightning. "Elder, have you heard of the ancient token?" The red-faced elder's fingers froze midair. A deep regret appeared on his face. "I know, I almost acquired it. Our Central Earth world missed a chance to change fate. Short one update, will catch up over the weekend." "I told you, Senior. The ancient token was never lost." "What?" The red-faced elder suddenly stood up, his eyes vibrating with an inescapable shock, but he quickly calmed down. "How do you know?" That ancient token had already been taken by the demon Mirage's avatar. Letter 1D4, 1F, letter 1D6, 9B, letter 1D5, 5, 6, letter 1D6, AT, letter 1D5, 6, 8, letter 1D5, F2. Letter 1D4, 1C, letter 1D5, FC, letter 1D5, FA. The true word Venerable and Venerate Zinny both saw it with their own eyes. Could it still be false? Jiang Fan said, "Doesn't the senior want to know the name of the first on the heavenly ascending ancient road?" The red-faced elder looked surprised. "Is it you again?" Jiang Fan cupped his hands and said, "Indeed, it's the junior." "Hey!" The red-faced elder circled around Jiang Fan, looking at him up and down in disbelief. "Did you see a ghost? Why is it always you everywhere? The one who provided the long-lost Phoenix Feather 9 Flames fan is you. The one who moved the connecting sky-black pillar is also you. And the first on the heavenly ascending ancient road is you too. Where did you pop out from?" Jiang Fan muttered in his heart, "Obviously from my mother's womb. Could it be I jumped out of a stone?" "Senior, that Venerate at the end of the heavenly ascending ancient road also told me that the ancient token is our Central Earth's opportunity to change fate. So I didn't let the ancient token get snatched away." The red-faced elder's face showed a hint of excitement. Jang Fan being able to reveal what the Venerate at the end of the heavenly ascending ancient road had said indicated that he wasn't lying. "Quick, let me see the token." Jiang Fan thought for a moment and secretly contacted the little Killin, having it take out the ancient token and bury the heavenly thunder stone underground to hide it. He still needed to be cautious against the elder in front of him. Quickly, the little Killin came over with a simple, light yellow token in its mouth. The red-faced elder snatched it up and scrutinized it in his palm, his old eyes full of joy. "It's truly the ancient token. But what did the demon Mirage's avatar take?" Jiang Fan said honestly, "A handful of memory silver sand. I sensed something was wrong ahead of time and put the real token into my space storage device, leaving the fake on my person. The demon Mirage's avatar took the fake and didn't have time to examine it closely before being entangled by the Venerate. I don't know what happened afterward. After being rescued by Fairy Yunshang, he had fled. He wasn't clear about the subsequent battle situation. Learning that the demon Mirage's avatar took the memory silver sand. The red-faced elder was stunned for a while, then couldn't help but burst into laughter. No wonder after the demon Mirage's avatar left, it desperately tried to breach the barrier and return. "So, you tricked him, kid. It laid out such a big scheme and was willing to send the heavenly ascending ancient road to the Central Earth realm just for the ancient token. By every calculation, it didn't anticipate that in our Central Earth world, there would be such a cunning fellow intercepting the ancient token. Ha ha ha. If it were me, I'd probably be angrier than he is." Jiang Fan was speechless. "Senior, are you praising or criticizing me?" The red-faced elder looked at Jiang Fan again and found him much more pleasing to the eye. "You're a little black merchant, harsh on your own people, but even harsher on outsiders. I'll let this slide." Jiang Fan had been waiting for this statement. He was instantly relieved, as if granted amnesty. Seeing that the red-faced elder was in a good mood, his eyes spun, and he lamented, "It's just a pity about my box of memory silver sand. That was my only treasure. For the Central Earth world, I've sacrificed too much. Ha! The red-faced elder, experienced and shrewd, immediately realized that the little black merchant Jiang Fan was looking for some compensation. Stop pretending to be poor. To seize the netherworld ghost fire from so many masters, how could you not have some treasures on you? Not to mention anything else, I just know that little spiritual pet of yours isn't simple. Jiang Fan laughed sheepishly. It's really hard to fool the venerates. But he was pleasantly surprised when the red-faced elder took out the holy fire order from his sleeve and tossed it back to Jiang Fan. Here, take it. Jiang Fan quickly caught it and said sarcastically, "Thank you, Senior, for returning it to its rightful owner." Let the venerate in front of him not think of it as a reward to brush off Jiang Fan. The red-faced elder naturally understood, laughing angrily. "Little rascal, you really know how to cater to the audience. Do you really think the old master won't do anything to you? And you even threw sarcasm at me." Jiang Fan hurriedly said, "The junior wouldn't dare." Actually, he sensed from the beginning that the venerate in front of him had no malicious intent to kill him. Otherwise, he could have been obliterated with a wave upon being recognized. Why bother bringing him back for questioning? The venerate merely wanted to teach him a lesson. Now, with the ancient token, the elder didn't even mention a word of admonition and returned the holy fire order. The attitude was self-explanatory. The red-faced elder snorted unhappily. "The great sage Demon Mirage was even tricked by you, what wouldn't you dare? I suspect if you meet an ancient saint, you'd try to trick them too." Jiang Fan waved his hands repeatedly. "I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare." The junior holds deep respect and genuine reverence for the ancient saints, never neglecting them. Whoosh! Suddenly, a bolt of thunder struck from the sky, pierced through the ground, and entered the underground palace. It hit viciously beside Jiang Fan, scorching a fist-sized hole in the solid ground. Jiang Fan was stunned. The red-faced elder was stunned too. He stared wide-eyed. What exactly have you done to the ancient saint? To actually make the ancient saint remember you? There are countless people who complain about the ancient saints, but who have they ever acknowledged? I'm being wronged? Jiang Fan opened his mouth, wanting to vent about the ancient saint's series of injustices against him. But to avoid getting struck, he held it back. Just saying this, perhaps, is the ancient saint's special affection for me. The red-faced elder snapped back to reality. He didn't dare to delve deeper into the topic of the ancient saints. Looking at Jiang Fan, who was just at the second stage Nascent Soul, he flicked his fingers. A wisp of chi force entered Jiang Fan's abdomen. Immediately, there was a sharp pain drilling through his heart. It wasn't a physical pain, but a sensation originating from the Nascent Soul. Suddenly, there was a cracking sound as the outline of the third aperture shattered open. Jiang Fan quickly checked inside himself and was overjoyed. Surging with delight, Jiang Fan bowed and thanked the elder. "Thank you, Senior." "You're only thankful after getting a benefit," the red-faced elder snorted. "You wouldn't give up the hawk without the rabbit." Saying so, he tossed the ancient token back at Jiang Fan. "Here, take it." Jiang Fan was slightly surprised. "Given the importance of the ancient token," he said after some thought, "why not give it to someone more promising? With the ancient hunt approaching, won't someone find you and ask for the ancient token to hand it over to someone else anyway? Who would find him, apart from the red-faced elder who knew the ancient token was in his possession?" He shook his head, not wanting to think more about it, and focused on the present, saying, "Senior, you really are a good person." The red-faced elder snorted. "Nonsense, if it were another venerate, they would have slapped you into a pulp, you little black merchant." The next moment, the red-faced elder almost cursed. Jiang Fan added, "Senior, thank you for returning the item to its rightful owner." This venerate in front of him better not think of passing it off as a reward for Jiang Fan. Parting gift, the red-faced elder didn't say a word. He opened the stone door. With one kick, he sent Jiang Fan flying out. "Scram! Get as far away as possible. Don't let me see you again." He had seen many shameless people, but this kind of malicious shamelessness was a once-in-a-lifetime sight. "And you wanted me to refine an artifact for you? A top-grade spiritual artifact? Dream on." Jiang Fan flew out of the underground palace. If not for his agility, he would have landed flat on his face. He rubbed his buttocks, pouting, "Fine, don't refine it then, stingy." But when he looked up, he saw the fire worship sect leader, Cayenne Land Fairy, Yun Huo, and others all present. They stared at Jiang Fan in bewilderment. Yun Huo looked oddly at him and asked, "What happened to you?" Jiang Fan straightened up and said nonchalantly, "The senior personally sent me out, his hand lost strength." "No worries, I forgive the senior." Is it really true? Yun Huo didn't think much of it and said gratefully, "Thanks to you this time. Otherwise, I would have perished within the fire pillar." Recollecting it now still filled him with dread. Upon learning Jiang Fan was taken by the senior, he rushed over, ready to plead for him. Cayenne Lan Fairy weighed a cleaver in her hand, snorting, "Yun Huo, speak quickly. I'm going to chop him to death." She glared fiercely at Jiang Fan, seething with anger. Yun Huo coughed dryly. "Cayenne Lan, calm down. With such a big son, think how many years you've saved from detours." Cayenne Lan Fairy's willow leaf eyebrows were raised, brandishing the cleaver as if ready to chop him too. Yun Huo quickly said, all right, I'll finish right away." He took a crystal ball from his sleeve, inside it a green flame flickering quietly. "This is our fire worship sect's unique source fire. It has the effect of inducing a heavenly tribulation. Take it back to the heavenly mechanism pavilion, originally intended for his disciples. Now it could only first be used to return Jiang Fan's favor. Oh, a chance for tribulation." Jiang Fan's face lit up with joy, especially in the current background of the ancient giant's arrival. Such opportunities were nearly depleted. Haven't seen a big, strong player like Song Lingyu pretending to be dead like a defaulter, right? Its value is beyond imaginable. Don't be polite, accept it. Yun Huo might have felt pain too, but compared to life, these external possessions were insignificant. Jiang Fan hesitated a moment but still accepted it, cupping his fists. "Senior Yun Huo, at the grand ceremony of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, please be sure to attend with Senior Cayenne Lan. I also have a grand gift for you." He planned to gift a dragon marrow seed, intending to elevate their realms to the next level. Before Yun Huo could agree, Cayenne Lan Fairy's cleaver had already swung down. "You still want to return to the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion? Wanna go back lying down?" Jiang Fan laughed heartily, quickly hugging the little Qilin, retrieving the heavenly thunder stone he had hidden, then made a cloud shadow retreat. The fire worship sect leader stretched out his hand, wanting to stop Jiang Fan to question the netherworld ghost fire's whereabouts. In the next moment, he withdrew his hand. Once in the hands of the senior who dared to take it, could Jiang Fan still retrieve it? Too bad about that mighty holy fire. Outside the fire worship sect market plaza. "Senior Sister Yu, stop watching, let's go. This matter can no longer be interfered with by you. Letter 1D6ATF, letter 1D5FF, letter 1D5F2, letter 1D4, 1E, letter 1D430, letter 1D6AT. Letter 1D4, 1C, letter 1D698, letter 1D55E, Ma Qingyan urged the reluctant Yu Peiyuan. They had witnessed Jiang Fan being chased deep into the fire worship sect by several strong players, never to emerge. When inquired, it was learned Jiang Fan was taken away by a mysterious senior. Yu Peiyuan bit her red lip lightly, worried in her heart. Jiang Fan had no background, he would surely suffer loss, right? Noticing her gaze, Ma Qingyan said with a hint of rebuke, "Worry about yourself? Returning no holy fire at all. If I were Senior Qi Yin, I wouldn't find any reason to let you attempt another tribulation. Your life might just remain as a left Dao Nascent Soul. After returning, find an excuse, seek a good task from Senior Qi Yin, and comfortably live your life. Don't let him come looking for you, or it'll be embarrassing for both." Yu Peiyuan silently lowered her head. For disciples unable to attempt tribulation, elders would not keep them by their side all the time. They would be sent to manage markets, mines, secret realms, and other places under the heaven and sea pavilion's jurisdiction. Bringing back no holy fire, Yu Peiyuan might utterly disappoint Senior Qi Yin. Rather than being sent away by Senior Qi Yin, better to take the initiative herself. Both parties tacitly understood, sparing each other's face. Other disciples accompanying them showed a slight dimming in their eyes. Those who once envied Yu Peiyuan's tribulation chance found no pleasure in her predicament. For Yu Peiyuan's present mirrored the future for most. The ninth layer perfection stood as the martial endpoint for most prodigies. "You, if you hadn't handed over the holy fire order, Senior Qi Yin has always appreciated you. Maybe you'd still have a second tribulation chance." Words like this needn't be said anymore. You to be sent away might yet be a stable path. At least you won't fret over tribulation successes and failures. Indeed, we might all accompany you there in the future. You're just going a step ahead. Listening to everyone's comfort, Yu Peiyuan grew even more saddened, but she regretted nothing, because at least she remained honorable, favored with no burden of owing. "Thank you all, I'm all right. Let's go." Whoosh, at this moment. A thunderbolt flashed overhead. Jang Fan hurriedly raced over. "Senior Sister Yu, please wait." Yu Peiyuan looked up, showing a relieved smile. As long as you are okay, then I have no worries anymore. The leading elder from heaven and sea pavilion glanced at Jiang Fan expressionlessly, speaking in a sarcastic tone. Are you here to compensate my disciple? Evidently, he was dissatisfied with Jiang Fan for occupying Yu Peiyuan's holy fire order. Currently did not welcome his arrival. Jiang Fan cupped his fists and said, Senior, please allow me a few words with Senior Sister Yu. Yu Peiyuan showed a pleading expression to the elder. The elder snorted, Speak briefly. Yu Peiyuan quickly ran over, concerned. Did the senior from the fire worship sect trouble you? Did the great Yin Sect master's palm leave you badly injured? Had I known the holy fire order would bring you so much trouble, I shouldn't have given it to you. Jiang Fan gazed at the pure-hearted girl before him, a warm smile spreading across his face. Senior Sister Yu, live more for yourself. I hope that during the chaotic era of the ancient giant's arrival, you can pass safely. Such a hint of farewell moved Yu Peiyuan deeply. She choked slightly, Junior brother Jiang, the same to you. Take care of yourself. This farewell, perhaps they would struggle to meet again. Jang Fan sighed and said, I'll give you a small parting gift. Extend your hand. A trace of surprise appeared in Yu Peiyuan's eyes, a little excitement maybe. She extended her palm. Jiang Fan placed 2 items into her palm. Before she could see them, he closed her fingers, saying, Look after I'm gone. He circulated thunder around himself. Waving with a smile, he said, Take care, Senior Sister Yu. We'll meet again in the world. Instantly, he transformed into a thunderbolt, vanishing. Yu Peiyuan stood stunned, eyes brimming with tears. How many goodbyes in the world never reunited again? Muying shook his head. Caused Senior Sister Yu such harm, just walks away like that. Senior Sister Yu, let's go. Yu Peiyuan wiped away her tears, a stinging sensation on her cheek where the skin brushed. Only then did she realize that a golden tip poked out of her clenched fist. Celestial phenomenon, she opened her palm and looked. Her beautiful eyes involuntarily narrowed. A pair of golden scissors and a tiny flame wrapped in crystal entered her view simultaneously. The leading elder glanced sideways. His face showed shock. The golden Jiao scissors, one of our sect's 3 divine artifacts. Didn't Qi Yin lose it in the divinity transformation relics? Jiang Fan actually retrieved it for us. Wait, what is that? The elder glanced again at the small flame. After a brief thought, he was once again surprised. The source fire of the fire worship sect. An opportunity that can attract a heavenly tribulation. He actually gifted you such a precious item? The elder looked incredulous. This single source fire, for Yu Peiyuan, is an opportunity that even 10 holy fire orders couldn't exchange for. With her level of cultivation, the middle to lower grade holy fire she received was only enough to please a Qi Yin master. Whether she could obtain another chance to weather a tribulation depended on luck. Now, Jiang Fan directly gave her the chance for a tribulation. Muying's eyes widened. The chance to weather a tribulation just given away. Even close siblings might not be this generous. When he looked at the golden Jiao scissors, he became even more unsettled and said complicatedly, Junior Sister Yu retrieving the golden Jiao scissors is a great merit. She can use her achievement to access the Desert Smoke reverse scale armor once. It can effectively resist 30% of the tribulation thunder, increasing her chance of surviving the tribulation by 50%. This is also why Senior Jiang entrusted the golden Jiao scissors to you. He wants to ensure that before the great tribulation arrives, you can break through to the Nascent Soul, increasing your hope of survival. These words had just been spoken. The 9th layer perfection disciples felt particularly uneasy. Because, back when Jiang Fan didn't have a holy fire order, they had also considered giving their own holy fire orders to Jiang Fan to earn a favor. But they ultimately decided to trust their own luck and use them to intercept the holy fire. Only Yu Peiyuan, without a second thought, gave her holy fire order to Jiang Fan. In return, Jiang Fan repaid her 100-fold. Deep regret poured into each of their hearts. Muying also wiped his face vigorously, thinking that if he had been more generous, Jiang Fan would not have treated him poorly, right? He even blamed Yu Peiyuan, certain she would regret her decision. However, in the end, he was the one who regretted it. The leading elder showed a bit of envy on his face, gently patting Yu Peiyuan's shoulder and said, I wish I had friends like that back in the day. Yu Peiyuan, holding the 2 magical treasures, felt Jiang Fan's thoughtful care and tears rolled down silently. She softly murmured, Thank you, junior brother Jiang. As for Jiang Fan, he searched the city for a while but couldn't find Hua Wuying. Does she still think she can escape? Jiang Fan laughed. Outrun the monk but not the temple, just in time. While the heavenly mechanism pavilion master and others hadn't arrived, he decided to visit the 10,000 Tribulations holy temple to collect his debts. Thus, he cast the cloud shadow, heading towards the 10,000 Tribulations holy temple, just as he was about to leave the fire worship sect's territory. The depths of the sky suddenly turned crimson, as if a curtain of fire was burning on the skyline. The sky within thousands of miles turned entirely red. Everything on the ground was bathed in fiery red. At the same time, an intense heat wave suddenly pressed down. His clothes and hair were instantly scorched. His skin was blistered with cracks from the high temperature. He was startled. "What is this?" The 3 apertures nascent soul was roasted to the point of cracking the body. How intense was this heat? What has happened? What kind of astronomical phenomenon is this? Is an ancient giant descending? In the midst of Jiang Fan's shock, an enormous fireball burned through the heavens, hurtling towards the earth with astonishing speed. The momentum was enough to destroy the world. A planet-ground collision? Jiang Fan's scalp tingled. Yet what shocked him even more? The fireball was heading directly at him. How could he stand still? He decisively applied cloud shadow, instantaneously moving out of view, but to his disbelief, the fireball changed direction, coming towards him. Jang Fan applied cloud shadow again, and the result was the same. The fireball changed direction, as if it was locked onto him. "What's going on? Ancient saint? Is it you causing trouble, you old hag?" What answered him was a bolt of thunder that struck beside him. Meaning, if it were me, I'd already strike you directly, not the ancient saint. Then is it something from outer heaven? Why is it coming straight for him? No time to think, Jang Fan kept casting cloud shadow, running at lightning speed. Yet the massive fireball approached faster and faster. Finally, unable to dodge it, Jiang Fan swallowed a handful of revitalizing pill. Then, amidst cursing, he was slammed into heavily. At that time, on the border of the fire worship sect, "Wu Ying, are you really planning to sneak away like this?" Yun Qi looked at Hua Wuying, who was sneakily hiding among a group of their disciples, and said. Hua Wuying, wearing a conical hat, wrinkled her fair nose. "What else should I do if I don't leave? Wait to be sold off by him? You have no idea how black-hearted that guy is." Yun Qi eyed her, noticing her nascent soul realm aura, and said sourly, "Getting the benefits and still complaining. If you don't want to be a debt token, how about swapping with me?" Hua Wuying gave her an annoyed sidelong glance. "You only see what I gain, right?" The epithet debt fairy she earned, where could she contest it? It's a stain for life. Letter 1D487, letter 1D4FB, letter 1D4E, letter 1D4E, letter 1D66C, letter 1D65A. Letter 1D4EC, letter 1D4F8, letter 1D4AT. At this moment, the sky suddenly turned crimson, as if set ablaze, along with an intimidating heat wave striking. Luckily, they were on the edge, so the heat was limited. Hua Wuying quickly, with a sharp eye, applied her nascent soul power, protecting both herself and Yun Qi. This prevented them from the embarrassing situation of being scorched without clothes and hair. Yun Qi exclaimed, "What is that? Such a big fireball!" In her view, a massive fireball was rapidly diving towards the distant ground. Soon after, it crashed heavily onto the earth. A giant flame soared thousands of feet high, rushing towards the sky. Following it was a violent earthquake and a surging wave of heat. Except for the nascent soul realm and the protected disciples present, none could avoid being blasted away. When the heat wave subsided, what everyone saw was a boundless sea of fire, and at the epicenter of the celestial collision, billowing smoke rose up. Yun Qi was stunned. "Wu Ying, what's going on here?" Hua Wuying was equally shaken. "It seems like something fell from the sky." Yun Qi's eyes lit up and said, "Shall we go take a look?" Hua Wuying immediately shook her head. "I'm not going. What if there's something bad in there? I've finally escaped from the creditor. I don't want to fall back into the fire pit," she said cautiously. Yun Qi pondered. "What if it's a boon? Everyone knows that things falling from the sky are always good things." A boon? Hua Wuying was a bit tempted and after hesitating said, "All right, we'll just take a look from afar. If things look bad, we'll run." Yun Qi eagerly nodded, hooking her arm and led her towards the collision site. Very quickly, they arrived in front of a giant circular crater stretching thousands of yards in diameter. Inside, thick black smoke billowed and the soil was scorched. The surrounding area radiated waves of heat. "There's something at the center," Yun Qi with sharp eyes exclaimed. "It looks like 2 people. It seems they've been burned." Hua Wuying, feeling a bit apprehensive, said, "If it's not a fortuitous encounter, let's leave quickly." Yun Qi insisted, "Don't go. These are people who fell from the sky just like that woman at White Horse Temple." Bringing them back would be a huge achievement. You could get the chance to open another aperture, and maybe I could get another opportunity to transcend tribulations. Hua Wuying hesitated. Given her temperament, she would have fled long ago. However, Yun Qi's constant urging left her with no choice but to reluctantly approach the center of the crater. Upon closer inspection, they indeed saw two charred bodies. Their forms suggested a man and a woman. The woman was tightly hugging the man from behind. However, both of them had a terrifyingly strong life force. Even burnt to such an extent, they were still alive, especially the man whose skin was making cracking sounds. His skin was actually regenerating. Yun Qi blocked Hua Wuying, saying, "Wuying, quickly check that man, he seems to be coming back to life." Hua Wuying glared back at her. A nascent soul has to stand at the forefront, huh? She hesitated as she approached the man. Cautiously extending her hand, she gently wiped away the charred skin from his face. She murmured softly, "I'd like to see what people from outer heaven look like. My master said that woman from White Horse Temple had horns." However, upon seeing that face, fairer than a woman's, Hua Wuying felt as though she was struck by lightning, frozen in place. Yun Qi also stared in confusion, rubbing her eyes. "Wuying, this person from outer heaven looks a lot like Senior Jiang." Hua Wuying shivered. "It's not just a resemblance. It is him." She remembered every pore on Jang Fan's face. The person before them was unmistakably Jiang Fan himself. She recoiled as if shocked, ready to run. But as soon as she took a step, her calf was grabbed by a large hand. She almost tumbled to the ground. Turning her head back, she was dumbfounded. Jiang Fan was looking at her, eyes open, bewildered. "Hua Wuying, Yun Qi girl, am I not dead?" At this moment, the surrounding space flickered. Little Killen returned with the heavenly thunder stone in its mouth. It had seen things going south and decisively fled, thus avoiding Jiang Fan's fate of being roasted. Jiang Fan's awareness cleared instantly, and he sat up with a start. A sharp pain surged through his body. This was still after being nourished by a large amount of revitalizing pills, otherwise he might not have woken up. At the same time, he felt a heavy weight on his back. Turning his head, he almost screamed. There was a woman, charred to a crisp, hugging him tightly. "Who is this? Wasn't I hit by a fireball?" He hurriedly pulled the charred woman off. The face was unrecognizable, but her life force was extraordinarily strong, showing no signs of weakness. Jiang Fan was bewildered. He hadn't yet grasped the situation. He had been chased by a fireball, then a huge explosion, and upon waking, this woman was on his back. Could it be that the fireball was this woman? Was she from outer heaven? Jiang Fan looked at her bald, burnt head but didn't see horns or anything. Moreover, her form was that of a human woman. Who on earth was she? Thinking this, Jiang Fan took out a revitalizing pill and fed it to her. Best to revive her and then find out. Crack, crack, as new skin regenerated, the charred layers fell off. A body as white as jade, robust and strong, emerged. Hua Wuying blushed, quickly turning her head away. Yun Qi quickly covered her face with both hands, peeking through her fingers, continuously observing, and softly muttered, "Wuying, Senior Jiang is really fair. Even fairer than you." Hua Wuying stomped on her foot hard, her face flushed. "Have some decency, peeking at Jiang Fan like this." Only then did Jiang Fan notice the anomaly, quickly took out a robe and put it on. Annoyed, he pinched Hua Wuying's cheek. "You were about to run pretty quickly, huh? Why didn't you run this time?" Hua Wuying was about to cry. She had successfully run away. But going round and round, she ended up back in front of Jiang Fan. If she hadn't come looking for excitement and seeking opportunities, this wouldn't have happened. Thinking of this, she fiercely glared at Yun Qi. "You troublemaker! I'll punch you to outer heaven." She raised her fist, about to send this troublesome friend flying. Yun Qi stuck out her tongue, quickly hiding behind Jiang Fan, saying, "Senior Jiang, quickly use chains to tie her up. Don't let her run away again. I still have some matters in the sect. I won't stay any longer. Farewell, farewell." Knowing she had caused big trouble, she used her escape technique and fled decisively. Furious, Hua Wuying was about to spit blood. They agreed to watch from a distance. Now look, they took a glance and couldn't leave. Jiang Fan chuckled while observing her. "Are you tying yourself, or shall I do it?" Hua Wuying resignedly lowered her head with a mournful face. "I'll do it myself." Beep, beep, beep. At this moment, her 10,000 tribulations holy temple identity token suddenly rang. At the same time, the identity token of Bai Xin on Jiang Fan also rang. Both of their identity tokens rang simultaneously. He picked it up and saw a line of text appear on the token. "Kinshin Bureau Notice. A new sect named Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion is established at Kingly Mountain, opening for recruitment in 5 days. Hua Wuying looked at Jiang Fan in surprise. Senior Jiang, is it the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion you belong to? Jiang Fan frowned slightly. In Taikang State, will everyone receive this message? Hua Wuying shook her head. Specifically, those with identity tokens in major sects will receive it. Any power wanting to establish a sect in Taikang State must register with the Kinshin Bureau. The Kinshin Bureau will then briefly inform the major sects of relevant information. Oh, Jiang Fan realized. No wonder the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master asked him to invite Kyan Land Ferry and Yun Huo, but didn't mention the location and time. Turns out, the Kinshin Bureau would notify everyone. However, the new Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion is located at Kingly Mountain. He had just recently killed a few elders from the White Bone Alliance and had disciplined Jiao Huangyin. This was a potential hassle. Never mind, let's deal with it when I get there. He picked up the charred woman on the ground, disdainfully slung her over his shoulder, then rode a cloud into the sky. Hua Wuying, with a sour face, silently jumped on. Meanwhile, above White Horse Temple, golden light blazed. An unrivaled presence entered the Great Hall. Master Puguang, Demon Suppression Guardian, Dharma Seal Vajra, and other esteemed monks all gathered before the hall. Welcome, Bodhisattva, back. Master Puguang asked concernedly, Bodhisattva, how is the situation above? From the Great Hall, the voice of the Bodhisattva came. As always, it was magnetic, slow, and gentle, yet there was a hint of weakness. It's a trap. We have been defeated. There will be another update at 8 o'clock. Dong, all the monks present felt as if their hearts were being struck by drums. The formation of the 3 gods and 1 Bodhisattva was the most powerful combination in Taikang State. Defeated. What exactly did they encounter? Unless it was thousands of ancient giants, they wouldn't have been injured. Master Puguang worriedly asked, Is the Bodhisattva injured? I'm fine, the Bodhisattva replied, slightly weak. Master Puguang slightly eased his heart and asked, How are the other 3 venerables? The Bodhisattva was silent for a moment and said, The evil crow venerable is uninjured, but he lost the divinity transformation Yin Corpse. The high monks were shocked. The evil crow venerable had hidden a Yin Corpse of the divinity transformation realm. If not for this great calamity, he probably wouldn't have used it. The heart demon venerable's injuries have worsened, his combat ability severely diminished, unable to fight for 3 months. Everyone's hearts sank once more. Compared to other states, the already fragile Taikang State's strength dropped another notch. However, the real reason for their changed expressions was the situation with the true word venerable. The true word venerable's divine ring is damaged, life and death unknown. What? The great defeat mentioned by the Bodhisattva was actually so severe. 1 lightly injured, 1 lost divine weapon, 1 severely injured, and 1's life and death unknown. In 3 months, when the ancient giants descend, what can they rely on to block them? Master Puguang unconsciously quickened the speed of rotating the Buddha beads in his hand, saying, Bodhisattva, why did the true word venerable end up like this? The Bodhisattva's voice was sorrowful. Her threat was too great, attracting the 5-star giant king to personally take action against her. The entire audience fell into dead silence. No wonder the Bodhisattva and others returned greatly defeated. They actually encountered the giant king, and a 5-star existence at that. The giant king is equivalent to the venerables and bodhisattvas of Taikang State. 5-star is equivalent to entering the realm of the heavenly person 5 declines great venerate. The 4 of them, except for the evil crow venerable who has entered the 1st decline. The other 3 haven't even initiated the decline. How could they be a match for a 5-star giant king? We were able to return because the true word venerable detonated the Phoenix Feather 9 Flames fan, blocking the 5-star giant king. But she herself, her life and death is unknown, the Bodhisattva said slowly. The monks were all silent. The news brought back by the Bodhisattva was so shocking that it drove them to despair. The Dharma Seal Vajra softly asked, Bodhisattva, in 3 months, what are we to do? The great hall remained silent for a long time. Then a long sigh was heard. May heaven protect all living beings. The Dharma Seal Vajra's gaze shook slightly. It meant that even the Bodhisattva found it impossible to turn the tide. All beings fend for themselves. 2 days later, at the tail of the Kingly Mountain range. On an inconspicuous mountain, several palaces that had been built for several years stood on the mountain peak. The slave heart demon emperor looked at the blank gate tower and said, Pavilion Master, why not inscribe the 3 characters Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion? The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master stood with his hands behind his back, smiling. Leave it for Jiang Fan. He desires to fulfill the legacy of his ancestors. The name of the new Tianji Pavilion should be inscribed by him. Yue Mingzhu also came over, gazing around, her eyes flickering with a layer of obscure seven-colored light. She said in slight surprise, the Pavilion Master really chose the location well. Although this place is the end of the mountain range with sparse spiritual energy. It hides spiritual objects of fortune, and if I'm not mistaken, there should be a crystal mine underground. Her Emperor's gaze technique had been cultivated to a certain extent, enough to discern the flow of worldly fortune. She could instantly perceive the extraordinariness of this place. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master smiled and said, Sect Master, you didn't mind that this place was Kingly Mountain. I am grateful. Fairy Yunshang gracefully approached in flowing white garments, saying, Kingly Mountain is the best choice. There's nothing inappropriate. Though Taikang State is vast, the famous mountains and rivers, spiritual veins, and blessed lands have long been occupied. The 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple may be the protector of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, but how can it allow others to rest beside it? It's also not suitable to build around the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple. Only Kingly Mountain, full of loose cultivators, is the unerring choice for foreign forces to establish roots. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master nodded in agreement. Fairy Yunshang speaks the truth. The first step for the new Tianji Pavilion is survival. The second step is development. Their foundation is too thin, allowing no margin for error. They must proceed cautiously, gradually growing stronger. Liu Qingxian came over full of expectation, saying, Everything is ready, just waiting for Jiang Fan to return. At this moment, a crowd of martial artists, all wearing different attire, arrived. Their ages varied. They were primarily at the 8th and 9th layers of core formation. The numbers were considerable, totaling over 100. They were almost all the powerful loose cultivators of Kingly Mountain. With such an assembly, even the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master dared not be neglectful. Showing a hint of caution, he asked, What is your intention? Leading them was a left-path Nascent Soul emitting a Nascent Soul aura. He seemed to be a loose cultivator who had previously tried to transcend tribulation but failed. His sharp gaze swept over the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master, Fairy Yunshang, and the slave Heart Demon Queen. His pupils slightly shrank. He smiled and said, I am Wang Yuandao, paying respects to the 3 esteemed seniors. We heard that the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion is being established here and came to congratulate you. Simply to congratulate. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master nodded slightly. The day of founding the sect is yet to come, but still, thank you. Wang Yuandao cupped his hands and said, Moreover, I represent the loose cultivators of Kingly Mountain with an impertinent request. That is, we hope the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion could accept us, allowing us to become members of the pavilion. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master frowned. Even though he anticipated their purposeful arrival, he had not expected them to be so direct. Fairy Yunshang transmitted a message. Pavilion Master, you cannot accept them. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master lightly nodded, transmitting a message. Understood. We are outsiders, they are local loose cultivators. If they swarm into the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, it would be like cuckoos occupying a nest, and many things would no longer be under our control. Moreover, they would rapidly deplete the resources brought by the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. The last point was the purpose of their group approach. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master politely refused, saying, Everyone, the founding and recruitment day is in 3 days. By then, if you wish to join the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion through our selection process, those who qualify can be admitted. For now, please return first. Wang Yuandao smiled, took out a jade scroll, and said, 3 esteemed seniors newly arrived may not know the rules of Kingly Mountain. Anyone establishing a sect in Kingly Mountain must prioritize the local loose cultivators. This is a jade letter from Sanking Mountain. Please have a look. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master's expression slightly tensed. Sanking Mountain? Kingly Mountain is on the border of the Sanking Mountain and not under Sanking Mountain's jurisdiction. How can they dictate Kingly Mountain? Soon, the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master understood. Sanking Mountain had a deep reason for such an arrangement. A scattered Kingly Mountain poses no threat to Sanking Mountain, but a unified one would. Therefore, they didn't want a sect appearing in Kingly Mountain. Thus, they endorsed the local loose cultivators to make it difficult for those coming here to establish a sect. This was also the reason why Kingly Mountain never had a sect. Fairy Yunshang and the slave heart demon queen also frowned slightly. They vaguely sensed the underlying issues. Accepting them would bankrupt the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Not accepting would give Sanking Mountain an excuse to intervene. At that time, the heavenly mechanism pavilion had yet to begin development, but would already face one of the 7 great sects, Sanking Mountain. This matter is really difficult to handle. Wang Yuandao asked confidently, "Are you planning to defy Sanking Mountain's orders?" Bang, just at that moment. A thunderbolt struck hard in front of Wang Yuandao. The powerful aftermath of the thunderbolt knocked down Wang Yuandao and the aggressive loose cultivators behind him. And within the thunderbolt, Jiang Fan's figure emerged. He grabbed the jade letter from Sanking Mountain, easily crushed it with his hand, saying, "Sanking Mountain has no authority over my heavenly mechanism pavilion. Mountain stretches too far. Reaching beyond the 4 seas, now the heavenly mechanism pavilion establishes a sect in the remote Kingly Mountain, yet they want a medal here too. Sending a jade letter commanding the heavenly mechanism pavilion to accept all the loose cultivators of Kingly Mountain. On what grounds?" Wang Yuandao stood up, looking at the scattered fragments of the jade letter, and said seemingly reverently, "Senior, you destroyed Sanking Mountain's jade letter. Are you planning to defy the decree?" Jang Fan stared at him coldly. "Taking a chicken feather for an arrow. Do you think my heavenly mechanism pavilion is easy to bully?" Wang Yuandao avoided his gaze, speaking neither humbly nor arrogantly. "No, this junior is only acting according to Sanking Mountain's orders. If I have upset you, senior, I apologize." Ha ha. Jiang Fan stepped forward and grabbed his collar. Then he looked around at the others, sneering. "You want to execute Sanking Mountain's order? Fine, I'll send you to the White Bone Alliance. They are also in Kingly Mountain and would surely be happy to have you join them." At the mention of the White Bone Alliance, several loose cultivators at the 9th layer of core formation shuddered. Wang Yuandao's body also trembled. When the White Bone Alliance was established, they had, of course, tried to take advantage. The White Bone Alliance welcomed them warmly, smiling as they led them inside, then decapitated dozens. The survivors had to crawl out, holding the heads in their mouths. That group was as ruthless as the wicked cults. To send them there again, they wouldn't dare even if beaten to death. "What, afraid? Can't provoke the White Bone Alliance?" Jiang Fan threw Wang Yuandao to the ground and said, "Need me to behead a few so you understand that my heavenly mechanism pavilion isn't easy to mess with either?" Wang Yuandao gritted his teeth slightly, saying, "Since the senior says so, we'll just leave. But if Sanking Mountain asks, senior, do not blame us for reporting truthfully." Still threatening. A cold gleam flashed in Jiang Fan's eyes, and with a flash of the purple sword, he sliced off an arm with a puff sound. "Ah!" Wang Yuandao cried out in pain, clutching his bleeding arm, his face showing fear. What made his pupils contract even more was a purple sword thrusting through the air towards his face. Where did he dare to waste words further? He bolted away. The remaining loose cultivators all fled like a swarm. Jiang Fan recalled the purple sword, snorting, "Cowardly and afraid, that's what they are." The heavenly mechanism pavilion master stepped forward, looking at the shattered jade letter and sighed slightly. "In Taikang State, every inch of land harbors disputes." Originally wanting to silently develop the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Now, however, directly standing in firm opposition to Sanking Mountain, diverging far from the original intention. Jiang Fan said, "Since we have invited so many experts from the 10,000 Tribulation's holy temple as guest elders, Sanking Mountain will weigh the situation." The heavenly mechanism pavilion master nodded. "Hopefully, Sanking Mountain will be deterred by this." "Who is that on your back?" the heavenly mechanism pavilion master asked in surprise. Jiang Fan carried a scorched person wrapped in black robes, whose exposed arm was slender, likely a woman. "Don't mention it." Jiang Fan tossed her down and said, "She fell from the sky with a fireball. Almost crushed me to death." How could a human fall from the sky? The heavenly mechanism pavilion master couldn't imagine what kind of scene that would be. "Find someone to take care of her. Come on, everyone misses you greatly." Jiang Fan looked up to see a sea of familiar faces. He smiled and said, "Come on, I have something to give everyone too." The group entered an impressive hall. Jiang Fan first took out 2 demon infant fruits, giving one each to Fairy Yunshang and the slave heart demon emperor. "You've been in the tribulation phase for some time. Your cultivation should be stable now. Try to ascend another level by the opening ceremony of the sect." Fairy Yunshang accepted it with a smile. She was confident. With her Sky Fox bloodline absorbing Jiang Fan's essence, she had already reached the pinnacle of one aperture demon emperor. Taking this fruit, a sure thing. The slave heart demon emperor took it with a sense of gratitude. The Four Seas demon emperor and the Sky demon emperor have been stuck at one aperture for many years, staying put. While I broke through to one aperture for over a month, Sister Yun Shang, less than a month, can both ascend another level. One has to marvel at the amazing fortunes of being by the master's side. Liu Qingxian glanced jealously at Jiang Fan, lightly biting her lip, feeling a tinge of unspoken grievance. She had known Jiang Fan far earlier than the two female demon emperors. Yet in the end, they received more attention and care from Jiang Fan. "Qingxian, come here." Jiang Fan suddenly smiled and beckoned. Liu Qingxian turned slightly, deliberately ignoring Jiang Fan. "Go appease your female demon emperors, no need to mind me." Poof. Everyone in the hall struggled to hold back their laughter. Too many beauties are not necessarily a good thing. Jiang Fan awkwardly walked over and placed a sky-ascending pill in her hand. "Don't want even a sky-ascending pill? Then I'll give it to Yue Mingzhu instead." Liu Qingxian lowered her head and was filled with surprise. "It's that legendary spirit pill." She quickly held it tightly and said, "I want it, of course I want it." Everyone in the hall could no longer laugh, their eyes showing astonishment. Gaining a tribulation opportunity. This is so rare, everyone present knew all too well. Jang Fan casually gave such a chance to Liu Qingxian. Yue Mingzhu crossed her arms, puffing her cheeks. "What about mine? If you forget about me, I'll run back to the continent right now and join Gong Kei." Jiang Fan, both amused and helpless, took out his last sky-ascending pill. Yue Mingzhu came over with a giggle, grabbing it with joy on her face. "I knew you wouldn't forget me." She tiptoed and gave Jiang Fan a kiss on the cheek. "Thank you, husband, hee-hee." Another one secured a tribulation opportunity. The experts present, especially those at the 9th layer perfection of core formation, looked at Liu Qingxian and Yue Mingzhu standing on either side of Jiang Fan, and couldn't help expressing their admiring sighs. Normally, these two girls would have no hopes for a tribulation opportunity in their lives. Especially Yue Mingzhu. How many years has she been stuck at the Jiden 8th layer? Even the 9th layer of core formation was hard to surpass. Now she had hope of reaching the Nascent Soul realm. Liu Qingxian needed no mention, from the daughter of the 9 sects, Yin Sect master. Under Jiang Fan's assistance, she soared higher, surpassing the 4 vice pavilion masters of the heavenly mechanism pavilion, and was the first to face tribulation. Hard not to envy, what's the saying? The caliber of Jiang Fan's women continues to rise. Jiang Fan then took out 2 Bodhi pills, saying, "Attempt the tribulation within 3 days. Don't have psychological pressure. If you fail, I'll find more for you, until I help you succeed in overcoming the tribulation." Yue Mingzhu was overjoyed. "So I can ascend to the Nascent Soul while lying down." Jiang Fan gave her a light scrape on her nose. "Don't be careless. Even with me protecting you, tribulation is a dangerous thing." Yue Mingzhu gave a mysterious smile, saying, "Rest assured, husband. I will succeed in the tribulation, and I'll also help Sister Qingxian succeed." Having practiced the Emperor's gaze technique, she could now slightly retrieve heaven's fate to use for herself. If a crisis arose during the tribulation, she would intervene in the cosmic fortune. Together with the Bodhi pill and Yi Banxia's jade-carved phoenix chair, their tribulation, compared to others, would be much easier. Though not as exaggeratedly easy as Fairy Yun Shang's, there shouldn't be significant problems. Oh, Jiang Fan was puzzled. Where did Yue Mingzhu get such confidence? "Uncle Master, isn't there any for me?" Xianxia, dressed in an ink-painted long skirt, stood with her small hands clasped behind her back, standing out like a crane in a flock, exceptionally conspicuous. She smiled as she spoke. Xianxia's eyes dimming, he hurriedly said, "Don't worry, there are still a few more." "Hua Wuying, come here." In the sky, Hua Wuying flew down with a pitiful expression from the clouds. She obediently came to Jiang Fan's side. Everyone looked at this girl, who was even younger than Jiang Fan yet had reached the Nascent Soul realm, with surprise. Liang Feiyan exclaimed, "Junior brother Jiang, which family's little beauty have you harmed again?" Jiang Fan rolled his eyes at him. He introduced, "Let me introduce her to you. She's worth 4 sky-ascending pills. So, while I'm in seclusion, make sure to keep a close eye on her. Don't let her escape." 4 sky-ascending pills. Everyone's eyes turned red. They looked at Hua Wuying as if she was a human form of the sky-ascending pill. The corners of Xianxia's mouth, which had drooped, slightly curved upwards again, although she didn't need the sky-ascending pill. But having her in Jiang Fan's heart was enough, she said with a light laugh. "Thank you, uncle." At the opening ceremony of the sect, I also have a gift for you. Oh, Jiang Fan was surprised. Xianxia had a gift prepared for him. He was a bit expectant. Xianxia sat on the jade phoenix chair, crossing her long white jade legs, and said, "Among those 4 sky-ascending pills, one must be mine." Jiang Fan chuckled and said, "Of course, Senior Sister Yi's." The slave heart demon emperor used Xianxia's jade phoenix chair when transcending tribulation before and destroyed it. Now Yue Mingzhu and Liu Qingxian needed to use the jade phoenix chair again to transcend tribulation. No one could do without hers. Jiang Fan glanced around the crowd. His eyes swept over the 4 vice pavilion masters, Ren Guheng and Wang Chongling, who were at the 9th layer perfection of core formation. He said seriously, "There are only so many sky-ascending pills at the moment. I will try to keep an eye out for everyone, but I cannot guarantee everyone will get one. Because, even in Taikang state, opportunities for transcending tribulation are not so easily obtained. Please understand." Even the thick-skinned Liang Feiyan hurriedly said, "Junior brother Jiang, don't say that. Transcendence opportunities should be sought by ourselves. How can we depend on you? How can we blame you for not getting any? You focus on your own matters, and we will seek opportunities ourselves." Everyone cupped their hands in respect. Jiang Fan had done enough for the heavenly mechanism pavilion. No one would blame him for anything. Jiang Fan nodded, then took out the top-grade crystal mine and handed it to the heavenly mechanism pavilion master, saying, "Pavilion master, find a way to bury it beneath the sect. Enhance the spiritual energy here and let the disciples of the core formation realm cultivate faster." The heavenly mechanism pavilion master looked into the space storage device and was shocked. "Where did you get this?" Having been to Taikang State many times, he naturally recognized the extraordinariness of this crystal mine. It would take at least a powerful Nascent Soul expert of considerable status to possess it. Jiang Fan said with an unnatural expression, "An enthusiastic old man donated it for free. Just accept it." The heavenly mechanism pavilion master was overjoyed. With such a spirit vein, the spiritual energy of our heavenly mechanism pavilion will not lose out to famous mountains and great rivers. The disciples' cultivation speed will far surpass the time on the continent. After arranging everything, Jiang Fan glanced around everyone and suddenly felt someone was missing. After recalling for a while, he finally remembered. "Oh right, where's Gu Zinner? Didn't she also carve her name, intending to come to the new heavenly mechanism pavilion? Why haven't I seen her?" The heavenly mechanism pavilion master's face showed a strange expression and said, "Gu Zinner asked for leave and left a month ago. She said she would bring a gift when the new heavenly mechanism pavilion was established." "Is that so?" Jiang Fan had a look of surprise on his face. She really had no presence. She disappeared for a month and he hadn't noticed at all. Forget about her. "I'm going to retreat for 3 days now. During this time, I'll trouble you all to keep watch over the 4 sky-ascending pills. Also, if that burned woman wakes up, notify me immediately." After speaking, he arrived at a specially excavated secret room in the back mountain. He planned to digest the netherworld ghost fire. According to the Void Flow 5 forces, once any force reaches great success, one can cultivate an origin. He didn't know what the origin was, but it must be extremely powerful. Just as he was about to enter the secret room, a fragrant breeze wafted by. Fairy Yun Shang, as white and pure as snow, stepped into the secret room first, glanced back gently, and said, "Jiang, I want to further enhance my cultivation." Her jade-like face flushed slightly, with shyness in her eyes. She felt that using the demon infant fruit to break through the 2-aperture demon emperor was a bit wasteful. It would be better to use the heavenly fox bloodline to push the 1-aperture demon emperor peak to the 2nd aperture at once. Then, using the demon infant fruit to enhance to 3-aperture demon emperor. This way it would be a proper respect for the demon infant fruit, but it would be taxing on Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan was moved at heart. But remembering the heavenly fox bloodline, which possessed terrible abilities that made him reluctant to part, he couldn't help but waver. For a moment he hesitated where he stood. Fairy Yun Shang gently sat at the edge of the bed, looking at him shyly. "Jiang, are you afraid?" "Damn, who's afraid?" Jiang Fan gritted his teeth and stepped into the secret room. Then he closed the stone door with a bang and shouted, "Heavenly fox bloodline, I will fight you to the end." 1 day later, Fairy Yun Shang left the secret room with a radiant face. Her skin was lustrous like jade, and her charming fairy face was rosy. Her eyebrows and eyes were filled with a light smile. The demon infant in her belly had also successfully opened the 2nd aperture. Inside the secret room, Jiang Fan was listless with 2 black circles under his eyes, murmuring continuously. "Too harsh, drain me dry." Muttering, he took out the holy fire order. Steeling himself, he began to absorb the fire. White Bone Alliance. In the gloomy and dark grand hall, 4 figures exuding nascent soul auras were faintly visible. Among them, 3 were on either side of the hall. At the highest point of the hall, a powerful figure was hidden in the darkness. He emanated a terrifying aura of the 7-orifice nascent soul. His identity was self-evident. The Alliance hierarch of the White Bone Alliance. The last of them was a 4-aperture nascent soul who cupped his hands and said, "Alliance hierarch, how should we handle these 2?" On the ground of the hall, Muying and her uncle lay bloodied on the ground. Muying's 10 fingers had been broken one by one, and her arms were twisted like pretzels. Her uncle had both eyes gouged out and was covered with dozens of black steel needles piercing through him. "Imprison them. When we catch that nascent soul youth named Jiang Fan, let them identify him." In the end, Muying and her uncle could not escape the clutches of the White Bone Alliance, even though they had fled far away and hidden well. The vast powers of the White Bone Alliance brought them back. Under cruel torture, they could not withstand the inhumane pain and revealed the situation then. "Yes, Alliance hierarch. By the way, another sect called the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion has come to Kingly Mountain. How should we handle it?" The hierarch's voice was indifferent. "Let them leave. The transmission array in the underground palace must not be touched by others." The nascent soul expert at the end bowed and said, "Yes." "Shall I go now?" The hierarch was silent for a moment. "Go on the day of the sect's inauguration. In front of their guests, eliminate the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Tell them Kingly Mountain does not allow a second power." Mountain, in the sprawling mountain range, wisps of various colored Dan fog rose slowly. At this moment, a 5-colored Dan fog suddenly ascended to the sky and exploded in the clouds, forming a magnificent 5-colored cloud. Sanking Mountain disciples were all startled. Another sky ascending pill has been successfully refined. This is already the 30th sky ascending pill successfully refined by the Tao leader this month. To be able to refine a sky ascending pill successfully every day. In all of Taikang State, it's only our Tao leader. Even those crazy elders cannot reach his level of expertise. That's for sure. Our Tao leader is a certified 5-star soul master, unmatched by others. In Taikang State, not only Sanking Mountain is a sect focusing on alchemy. The ability to refine 5th-grade spirit pills is not exclusive to Sanking Mountain Tao leader. But to refine 5th-grade spirit pills with such stability and high yield, only he can. As the Dan fog dispersed, an elderly Taoist in a white robe at the 7-orifice nascent soul level walked out of the alchemy room with a horsetail whisk in hand. He appeared to be about 80 years old. Surrounded by pure qi, he appeared like an immortal, untouched by worldly dust. With a light step, he swiftly reached the main hall for discussions at Sanking Mountain. The powerful ones of the sect came to pay their respects. "Welcome Tao leader out of seclusion." The Sanking Mountain Tao leader sits on a mat with several jade bottles filled with sky-ascending pills by his side. "Keep enough for the sect's disciples and sell the rest to other sects at 10 times the usual price." 10 times. Several elders hesitated, wondering if they heard correctly. "Isn't this price too high?" The Sanking Mountain Tao leader calmly said, "The great calamity is approaching. Every sky-ascending pill is a hope for survival. Moreover, one ingredient in the pill recipe comes from the vast sea. Currently, the 4 seas have severed relations with us. This ingredient is no longer supplied, reducing the number of sky-ascending pills. Scarcity brings value. There will be buyers at 10 times the price." The elders found it reasonable upon hearing this, and each took a jade bottle. After distributing the sky-ascending pills, the Sanking Mountain Tao leader said again, "Elder Xiang." A prosperous middle-aged Taoist stepped forward with a bow. "At your service." Sanking Mountain Tao leader looked at him with a calm gaze. "Have you found the person who cracked the cold cicada silence pill recipe?" By this time, Sanking Mountain naturally reacted. They received news from various channels that the 4 seas were contacting other alchemy forces in Taikang State to refine the cold cicada silence pill. The pill recipe was provided by the 4 seas demon clan. Undoubtedly, their pill recipe was leaked. The prosperous middle-aged Taoist rolled his eyes and said, "Not yet found, but there is a suspect." Many Taoists of Sanking Mountain had sharp eyes. Secretly cracking the cold cicada silence pill recipe made the 4 seas break free from their control. leading to a lack of crucial ingredients for several kinds of pills, including the Sky Ascending pill. This enmity was not trivial. Sanking Mountain Tao leader's gaze became slightly sharp. Who? The prosperous middle-aged Taoist was none other than Elder Xiang, who was eaten by the Hell Beast. The current Elder Xiang before them was naturally the Hell Beast. He squinted his eyes and said, "I suspect a junior named Jiang Fan, because I found out the Four Seas titled him as a different surname Sea King, and even the Four Seas Demon Emperor formed a bond with him. Without a massive contribution to the Four Seas, they wouldn't treat him this way." In fact, the Hell Beast was uncertain if it was Jiang Fan. He merely wanted to shift the blame onto Jiang Fan. Sanking Mountain Tao leader pondered. "What is his background?" Hell Beast said. "Continent Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. By the way, a few days ago, Kinshin Bureau announced that the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion has moved to Kingly Mountain." Upon hearing this, a gleam flashed in the eyes of Sanking Mountain Tao leader. "Kingly Mountain?" After some consideration, he waved his sleeve and said, "Then I, Tao leader, will personally go." Kingly Mountain, Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Jiang Fan's face showed deep pain. His whole body was red, like iron burning in fire with white smoke emerging from his pores. He clenched his teeth, making a creaking sound. His vision occasionally sank into darkness, several times almost fainting. He had undergone 2 body tempering sessions with true spirit blood and been washed by infinite blood tribulation. The pain he felt hinted at the extreme agony of absorbing netherworld ghost fire. As more white smoke steamed from his body, his internal temperature had reached its limit. His organs were all roasted. Even his nascent soul showed abnormalities. But the netherworld ghost fire was unable to be integrated into the fire pill. Instead, the blood-red fire pill condensed by Usura karmic fire showed signs of cracking, about to shatter. Jiang Fan's expression changed. If this continues, not to mention refining this fire, his nascent soul will be burnt, his cultivation ruined. He might even lose his life. Should he give up? He was unwilling, seeing that he was about to achieve great success in void flow fire force. Sensing his distress, the little Killin beside him anxiously circled around. At this moment, the little Killin noticed that Jiang Fan's skin was starting to show a layer of faintly visible greenish flame. This was a sign of the netherworld ghost fire being out of control. The netherworld ghost fire was a flame greatly feared by even 7 orifice nascent souls. Once out of control, it would burn Jiang Fan to ashes. "Master, stop quickly!" the little Killin urgently shouted. Jiang Fan also sensed the great danger. This fire was beyond what he could refine. At least the divinity transformation realm is needed to easily refine this fire. He couldn't hold on any longer. Otherwise, he couldn't even preserve his life. With clenched teeth, just as he was about to give up, he suddenly recalled something. Why did the red-faced elder want to buy vegetables containing yin qi? He should be using them to refine the Phoenix Feather 9 Flames fan for true word venerable. Why do they need yin qi vegetables? Thinking of this, he decided to make one last attempt. Immediately, amidst Hua Zin's cry of surprise, he took out a bunch of yin qi vegetables to swallow, chewing forcefully. Instantly, countless amounts of yin qi filled his body. Not only did this rapidly dissipate the scorching heat within, but it also seemed to find a nemesis, heading toward the netherworld ghost fire. However, the netherworld ghost fire was too strong. It melted away as soon as they approached. Jang Fan felt a glimmer of hope in his heart. How could I forget flame is the bane of earthly yin things? Conversely, if there's enough yin substance, it can also suppress netherworld ghost fire. He didn't hesitate any longer, taking out a large amount of yin qi vegetables to eat, one after another. When he had eaten until there was only less than a tenth left of yin qi vegetables, the yin qi within Jiang Fan had become so abundant that it was seeping out from his pores. Under such dense yin qi, the netherworld ghost fire was tightly surrounded and compressed bit by bit. Taking this opportunity, Jiang Fan activated the Cayenne Land True Fire technique to use the fire pill to absorb the netherworld ghost fire. Despite its resistance, under the pressure of dense yin qi, the netherworld ghost fire was slowly forced to merge into the fire pill. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. He was close to giving up. Unexpectedly, the once deemed useless yin qi vegetables played a significant role. He hurriedly absorbed it bit by bit. 3 days later, there was a knock on the door outside. Jiang Fan opened his eyes. A trace of emerald green flame flowed through his eyes like rippling water. The netherworld ghost fire within his body had been completely refined. Every last bit had merged into the fire pill. And now the fire pill was no longer the initial blood-red fire pill. It had become a swirling vortex of flame. Most of it was emerald green, with only a small portion being red. At the center of the vortex, there was a tiny green flame the size of a sesame seed. It burned quietly, without emitting any visible heat. But the netherworld ghost fire, which had been incredibly dangerous just moments ago, now obediently revolved around the small flame. As if the small flame was the king of all flames. All the other fires seemed to bow in submission. Jiang Fan, observing from within, fixed his gaze on the small flame, unable to look away. He felt an indescribable excitement in his heart. Could this be the fire origin? Although it was only the size of a sesame seed, it gave Jiang Fan a terrifying feeling, as if it could incinerate everything. Just like when he first encountered the sky-burning clam pearl. Even a tiny flame that erupted from it could reduce everything to ashes. The fire origin before him was much the same. I wonder what effect it would have if used in actual combat, Jiang Fan thought, his eyes filled with anticipation. Thud, 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 the sound of knocking came again. Jiang Fan calculated with his fingers, realizing that today was the sect ceremony. He quickly dressed and picked up the little killin to open the stone door. Outside was Fairy Yunshang. She was staring in shock at the stone door, which had layers of creases from being melted by high heat. What kind of flame could burn through a foot-thick specially made stone door like this? "Jiang, are you all right?" she asked, watching Jiang Fan with concern. At this moment, Jiang Fan gave her an exhilarating feeling. The heavenly fox bloodline within her was also bubbling with excitement. He was still the same Jiang Fan, unchanged in appearance or cultivation realm, but he seemed to carry a subtle air of rebirth. Jiang Fan gently pinched her cheek and said, "Which aspect are you asking about?" Fairy Yunshang blushed and said shyly, "Stop teasing. Everyone's waiting for you. They're just waiting for you to carve the name for the heavenly mechanism pavilion." Jiang Fan composed himself and proceeded towards the mountain gate with her. Fairy Yunshang naturally linked her arm with his, and they floated upward together. But, just as they were about to leave, a white shadow suddenly appeared in front of them. It was a tall woman with a slender figure and graceful curves. Her legs were long and her waist was so slim. She had a classical oval face, bright phoenix eyes, a high nose bridge, and red lips with white teeth. She possessed a beauty that could overthrow a city or a country with a single smile. Such beauty did not pale much even before Fairy Yunshang, renowned for her immortal beauty. Jiang Fan was stunned. "Who is this?" The beautiful, unfamiliar woman before him moved so effortlessly and quickly, leaving him bewildered. Since when did the heavenly mechanism pavilion have such a person? Wait, he recalled the burnt woman he had brought back. Could she be? Fairy Yunshang nodded with a peculiar expression on her face and said, "It's her. She woke up this morning and I dressed her in my clothes." Jiang Fan was startled. "Is she in the Nascent Soul realm?" Fairy Yunshang was silent for a moment, then said, "Probably not only that. Look at the back. Isn't the back the rear mountain of the heavenly mechanism pavilion? That's the Kingly Mountain range." He turned to look. Jiang Fan gasped. He saw that the massive mountain range, which stretched across the horizon, had a handprint penetrating through its midsection. That couldn't have been done by someone in the Nascent Soul realm. At least not by a 7-orifice Nascent Soul. Even a 9-aperture Nascent Soul might find it challenging. Jiang Fan came back to his senses and looked at the beautiful woman before him, swallowing slightly. "Did she do this?" Fairy Yunshang nodded, the usually composed her also showing a trace of fear. She seemed startled when she first woke and inadvertently threw a palm strike. Luckily, no one was around at the time. Otherwise, none would have escaped unscathed. After that strike, she calmed down and just stood there, not making any more moves. After speaking, she side-eyed Jiang Fan with a peculiar expression. "Jiang, where did you find this woman?" Gulp. Jiang Fan swallowed, having a faint guess in his mind. He said, "I think I know who she is." Divinity transformation realm, a woman, fell from the sky. Wasn't that the true word venerable from atop the connecting sky-black pillar? As for why she turned into a fireball and kept chasing after him. Jiang Fan took out a pink lotus magic artifact from the heavenly thunder stone. It was the life-saving item given to him by true word venerable, once he brought it out. The woman immediately drew near, her eyes glued to the pink lotus, sometimes frowning, sometimes thinking, sometimes bewildered. Jiang Fan was more convinced now. She must be the true word venerable. The reason she could lock onto him from afar was because he possessed this pink lotus magic artifact. Thinking of this, Jiang Fan felt like spitting blood. A life-saving magic artifact almost became a death sentence. He looked carefully into the woman's eyes, recognizing them as the ones he had shared a gaze with to establish mute Zen with true word venerable. It really was her. Jiang Fan cautiously bowed and said, "True word venerable?" Ah, Fairy Yunshang was surprised. "Jiang, she's the true word venerable? Master Chen Jing's master." Jiang Fan nodded slightly, said, "It's indeed her. But it seems her mental state has issues." Because when he called her true word venerable, she did not respond at all. Thinking about it, Jiang Fan said again, "True word venerable, I am Jiang Fan, do you remember me?" True word venerable looked up at Jiang Fan, deep in thought, without speaking. Jiang Fan felt a shock in his heart. She's truly amnesiac. What on earth happened on the connecting sky-black pillar? Why did true word venerable turn into a fireball and fall? What about the other two venerables and bodhisattva? Fairy Yunshang was repeatedly surprised and said, "Jiang, what should we do?" Faced with a senior with mental instability, she had no idea how to handle it. If they showed the slightest disrespect, wouldn't she trouble them when she regained her senses? Jiang Fan also found it troublesome. This woman had a reputation for holding grudges. If he failed to treat her well, who knew what revenge she might seek when she recalled it? After thinking, he said, "Regardless of her state, we should treat her with courtesy." He bowed, saying, "Venerable, I still have important matters to attend to. Would it be all right for you to rest temporarily in the chamber?" True word venerable still frowned, lost in her own mind. Fairy Yunshang was worried. "Jiang, what if she loses control and attacks us? We'd be reduced to ashes." On instinct, she leaned closer to Jiang Fan for protection. Jiang Fan was also worried about any adverse actions true word venerable might take. He nodded, acknowledging the potential threat. "Let's observe her reaction when we walk away," he suggested. Jiang Fan was concerned about any unfavorable actions true word venerable might take. Seeing Fairy Yunshang in her white dress and then looking down at her own empty hands, she dashed towards them, pulling Fairy Yunshang away. Then she linked her arm with his. Shang, who was also pulled aside and left dazed. For a moment, his mind went blank. True word venerable seemed to be more than just experiencing memory loss. It appeared there were issues with cognition as well. She was actually mimicking Fairy Yunshang. "Jiang Lang, Jiang Lang, Jiang Lang," true word venerable called out 3 times in succession. Jiang Fan felt a tingling scalp and hurriedly responded, "Hey." Oh my. Would true word venerable kill him to keep the scene silent after she recalls this incident? He looked towards Fairy Yunshang, showing an apologetic expression, and said, "Yunshang, it's just a temporary measure, don't take it to heart." This was clearly how Fairy Yunshang addressed him. Yet it was used by true word venerable. Fairy Yunshang snapped out of it and quickly said, "Why bother with this now? Just keep her steady like this for now. This should be the most reliable method at the moment." Leaving true word venerable alone in the secret room was truly unsettling. Getting lost was one thing, but if she went insane again and shot out a handprint as before, the consequences would be catastrophic. At present, due to that pink lotus magic artifact, true word venerable seemed to have some reliance on Jiang Fan. This way, her emotions were stable, undoubtedly much safer. Jiang Fan cast a grateful look of understanding, then nervously allowed true word venerable to take his arm, arriving at the entrance of the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Liu Qingxian was teaching Yue Mingzhu swordsmanship. "Look, the 4th sword of sword heart engraving is just like this." At this moment, Liu Qingxian was full of vitality, exuding a powerful nascent soul aura. Yue Mingzhu was the same. Yesterday, the two had successively braved tribulations. Both succeeded without a defeat. It was exactly as Yue Mingzhu had said, she could ensure both succeeded. Liu Qingxian was very grateful. Yue Mingzhu's breakthrough went smoothly, encountering no danger. Everything went without a hitch. The ease was comparable to when Fairy Yunshang faced her tribulation. It was as if she was favored by the heavenly tribulation. The thunderbolt that struck her was divided numerous times, gradually ingested into her body, causing no severe harm but even tempering the body. Everyone watched in shock. However, Liu Qingxian's experience was much more dangerous. The jade-carved phoenix chair was struck flying. The protective shield of blood bodhi was also shattered. The heavenly tribulation seemed to bear a grudge against her, striking her mercilessly. Fairy Yunshang and slave Heart Demon Emperor, who were protectors, were ready to intervene to rescue and halt the tribulation. Yet somehow Yue Mingzhu did something. She cast spells around the surroundings, and incredibly, the raging heavenly tribulation calmed down, allowing her to narrowly succeed in crossing the tribulation. Therefore, Liu Qingxian imparted all that she learned from Sword Heart Engraving. However, Yue Mingzhu couldn't master it. She pouted, "I'm not learning it anymore. The sword technique you obtained in your dream seems to have a barrier outsiders cannot mimic it." Liu Qingxian was also troubled, saying, "Then how do I thank you? What I have you have, what I don't have you also have." A glint of slyness flashed in Yue Mingzhu's eyes. She said, "Want to thank me? How about this?" She leaned into Liu Qingxian's ear and whispered, "Let me go first, can I?" Liu Qingxian was stunned for a moment. At first, she didn't understand what it meant, then suddenly realized. Her face turned red as she pinched Yue Mingzhu's arm and said, "Aren't you ashamed?" Yue Mingzhu shrugged. "I'm the sect master of Desire's sect. Why would I be ashamed?" Liu Qingxian blushed, amused yet frustrated. But soon her smile froze, showing a bewildered look, and said, "Someone wants to beat you to it." Yue Mingzhu turned around and stared, also stunned for a moment, then said angrily, "Where did this woman pop out from? So righteously taking Jiang Fan's arm? I'll go and ask her what rank she holds." But as she was about to leap up, Liu Qingxian held her back. Liu Qingxian pointed behind the heavenly mechanism pavilion at that terrifying handprint and whispered, "It's that scorched woman." Hiss, Yue Mingzhu felt a tingling scalp. The incident of the woman waking up and tearing through the mountain had spread throughout the entire sect. How could she not know? But why is she taking our Jiang Fan's arm? Even Fairy Yunshang was squeezed to the back. Yue Mingzhu muttered discontentedly. Liu Qingxian pondered, "There's something unusual, there must be demons involved. Jiang Fan wouldn't treat a woman like this without reason. There must be a reason, let's watch and see." Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master also showed signs of surprise and doubt. Looking at Jiang Fan initiated mute Zen through eye contact, explaining the situation. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master gasped in shock. "True word, Venerable, and lost his memory. This is somewhat intimidating." Jiang Fan forced himself to remain calm as he approached the gate tower. He softly spoke to the true word Venerable beside him. "Venerable, could you stand to the side, please?" True word Venerable thought for a moment and glanced at Fairy Yunshang. Upon seeing her standing to the side, he released Jiang Fan and stood next to Fairy Yunshang. The two were similarly dressed with similar figures. Both had unrivaled beauty, like a pair of sisters. Jiang Fan slightly exhaled, drew the purple sword, leaping into the air. He carved 3 grand words onto the large gate tower with sword chi. "Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion." The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master, 4 Vice Pavilion Masters, 4 managers, and the accompanying old disciples. Staring at the words Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, each felt a strange emotion. The new Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion was finally established. A new journey begins henceforth. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master looked at the engraved words and said, "Should we use gold paint or cinnabar?" Stone-carved words are not prominent. They need to be coated to be clearly visible. Jiang Fan was about to speak. An eerie voice came from the sky. "Better to tear it down." Looking afar, a figure rode a cloud of black mist rushing towards them. Within the black mist, a 4 apertures Nascent Soul powerhouse's silhouette faintly appeared. The pressure emanating from him changed the expressions of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion crowd. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master cupped his hands and said, "Are you a senior from Sanking Mountain?" Boom. The black mist shattered as a burly figure in a black cloak suddenly descended to the ground. His features were coarse, his gaze fierce, his face covered in muscle. He glanced at the words Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion with disdain. "White Bone Alliance is here, no one is allowed to establish a sect. This gate tower, tear it down yourselves. Don't make me do it, White Bone Alliance." Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master showed puzzlement. Since when did Kingly Mountain have such a sect? Their intentions were unfriendly, he naturally wouldn't be polite. "Sir, we leave each other in peace," before finishing his sentence. The muscular middle-aged man flicked his sleeve. The powerful nascent soul power struck towards Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master like a mountain. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master's expression slightly changed. Behind him stood many core formation realm disciples. To unleash such level of nascent soul power was clearly aimed at killing indiscriminately. His eyes glinted coldly. From his eyes emanated 2 thunderbolt beams, also containing the powerful force of the 3 apertures nascent soul. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master silently broke through to the 3 apertures nascent soul. The thunderbolt beams instantly shattered the incoming nascent soul power and struck towards the muscular youth. The latter quickly flickered to dodge the thunderbolt beams, showing a hint of surprise. 3 apertures nascent soul? Such a small heavenly mechanism pavilion hides a 3 apertures nascent soul. Then the surprise turned into viciousness. Even better, hang your head from the gate tower. From now on, no one will dare to overestimate themselves and try to establish a sect here. His heart shook. A blood hand emerged from his chest, accompanied by spatial fluctuations, rapidly flashing towards the heavenly mechanism pavilion master's neck. This sudden bizarre move caught the heavenly mechanism pavilion master off guard. But at this moment, 2 arms-thick bolts of thunder had already prepared, piercing through the blood hand. Hiss, the muscular middle-aged man gasped, staring intently. Jiang Fan stood below the gate tower, face icy. Pavilion master, I suggest we don't use gold paint or cinnabar for the words. This person's blood is most suitable. Fan was already worried that he might resort to Hua Wuying's bloody tactics. Fortunately, precautions were taken in time. Otherwise, the heavenly mechanism pavilion master would be in danger. Another 3 apertures nascent soul? The burly middle-aged man showed surprise. Fairy Yunshang also stepped forward, revealing her own aura, peak of 2nd nascent soul. The slave heart demon emperor also stepped forward, releasing his aura. 2nd stage nascent soul. Yue Mingzhu and Liu Qingxian also looked on coldly, releasing an aura of 1 orifice nascent soul realm. 6 nascent souls in total? The burly middle-aged man was astonished. 2 3 apertures, 2 2nd stage, 2 1 orifice. Where did 6 nascent souls suddenly emerge from in taking state? Especially 2 3 apertures nascent souls, which would be considered elder-level figures with a certain status in many major sects. Immediately, his face turned cold again. Fortunately, the Alliance hierarch sent me here. Otherwise, if you all grew stronger, what then? His gaze turned fierce, locking onto Liu Qingxian, who had just crossed her tribulation, deciding to break through from the weak to the strong, one by one. With a thought, his 5 fingers stretched out abruptly, transforming into 5 long spears aimed at Liu Qingxian. But in the next moment, the blood hand suddenly halted its attack. At first, he was still confused, and the next moment he was horrified to discover that he couldn't control his body. His soul, at some point, had been bound by chains. No, he exclaimed in horror, only managing to let out a low cry. A chilling sensation spread from his neck. Jang Fan, holding the purple sword, sliced off his head with 1 strike. Then, with a grip of his 5 fingers, the chains pulled the soul from the headless body, flying into Jiang Fan's palm. The burly middle-aged man couldn't believe it. As a 4 apertures nascent soul, this was how he died. Moreover, even his soul couldn't escape. Staring into Jiang Fan's cold eyes, he quickly pleaded, "Taoist friend, have mercy. I was merely following orders. The Alliance hierarch's commands are hard to defy. Please give me a chance to be reborn through possession. I guarantee you will be greatly rewarded." "What is that? What are you doing?" Jiang Fan took out a 4-holed jade disc, pressing his soul into one of the holes. The burly middle-aged man sensed extreme danger and roared fiercely. "You're going too far. Our Alliance hierarch will not spare you," Jiang Fan said lightly. "We didn't provoke you, yet you still came to kill. Whether you provoke us or not is not determined by your actions. On the contrary, releasing you would only create future trouble for me. So, contribute to our heavenly mechanism pavilion, becoming a part of it." Upon finishing, amidst his screams, he was pressed into the hole. The burly middle-aged man's soul was completely absorbed. The hole immediately emitted an unusually dazzling blood-red light. The previous nascent souls captured were all 1 orifice. This was the first time for a 4 apertures. Whether different levels of souls produced the same effect in the sky-reaching marrow was unknown. He put away the life-changing jade disc. He found a dead silence around him. Scanning the surroundings, he noticed that everyone was looking at Jiang Fan in astonishment. The heavenly mechanism pavilion master had a wry smile. "You struggled to compete with Chen Jing just before. Now you can easily slay a 4 apertures nascent soul. This pavilion master feels a bit unworthy. How about?" Jiang Fan knew what he was thinking. He was considering letting Jiang Fan take over as heavenly mechanism pavilion master. Jiang Fan quickly stopped him, saying, "No. You took on the burden from the old pavilion master with a heavy heart. You must carry it with tears if necessary. Don't even think about passing it to me. Strength is one thing, managing the sect is another." Jiang Fan neither had the energy to manage the heavenly mechanism pavilion nor enough experience. It was better for the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master to continue in his role. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master was amused. Fine, then I'll give you a title. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Chief Deputy Pavilion Master. Adding Chief to the Deputy Pavilion Master, distinguishing him from the other 4 Deputy Pavilion Masters. Jang Fan nodded, saying, "This works." Fairy Yunshang walked over, smiling charmingly. "Jiang, what's your current strength?" Yue Mingzhu and Liu Qingxian ran over with proud expressions. It's hard to believe that the Jiang Fan, who barely fought against the Sky Demon Emperor not long ago, could now easily obliterate a 4 apertures Nascent Soul. Whoosh! Before the 3 ladies could reach him, Jiang Fan's surroundings blurred and true word Venerable flashed in. Before the 3 ladies, she took his arm and glanced at them. The 3 ladies quickly halted. Yue Mingzhu's forehead veins bulged. Did this woman really consider Jiang Fan hers? She was even competing with them. Su Yoren wasn't this domineering, she was still wondering. A black shadow suddenly flashed across the sky. A bird descended in circles. From it leaped a young girl in a turquoise dress with a gentle breeze, and a beautiful girl with golden hair and exotic features holding her stomach. They were Ling Shu and Liu Li. Jiang Fan was surprised, wondering why they were behind. He thought they had stayed with the mainland demon clan, not planning to come for a while, until he saw a graceful figure on the bird. His eyes couldn't hide his surprise. "Yoren!" The breeze tousled her hair, but not the gentleness in her eyes. She leaped forward, landing in front of Jiang Fan. Only after a short time no see, she had also broken through to the Nascent Soul realm, but thinking about it, it made sense. She inherited the legacy of an Usura realm emperor, equivalent to a great sage realm in Taikang state. Plus, with Ayashura King's guidance, it would be abnormal if her cultivation was slow. "You've lost weight." Su Yoren looked at Jiang Fan, her crystalline eyes glittering with longing at this moment. She noticed a woman holding Jiang Fan's arm. She looked puzzled. True word Venerable met her gaze without intending to move aside. However, she observed that Fairy Yunshang, Yue Mingzhu, and Liu Qingxian all retreated slightly awkwardly. After a brief thought, she also released Jiang Fan and retreated to stand beside the 3 women. Like them, she avoided Su Yoren's gaze. "Jiang Fan, who is she?" She naturally noticed this woman's mental state seemed unusual. Jiang Fan transmitted, "True word Venerable." "Ah," Su Yoren covered her mouth, her beautiful eyes widening. "Then she and you?" Jiang Fan replied helplessly. "I hope when she wakes up, she won't be hostile towards me." Su Yoren immediately understood Jiang Fan's predicament, nodding. "I'll talk to her later." Then she looked at Yue Mingzhu and Liu Qingxian. Her eyes showed a trace of relief. They had also accompanied Jiang Fan, so Jiang Fan wouldn't be lonely. When she glanced over Fairy Yunshang, a trace of deep astonishment appeared in her eyes. Such a beautiful woman. And she's from the demon race. Could she be the former concubine Xianxia? Fairy Yunshang felt tense. This woman was Jiang Fan's only officially acknowledged main palace. Even with her poise, her heart couldn't help but feel anxious. She stepped forward gracefully, greeting. Yunshang greets. "Sister." "Sister." Su Yoren looked at Jiang Fan in surprise. "Isn't she the concubine of the Sky Demon Emperor?" Fan felt a bit embarrassed and explained their experiences simply with mute zen. Su Yoren listened and half angrily, half amusedly hit him. "You're something else. You've managed to mess with the Sky Demon Emperor's concubine." She then turned to admire Fairy Yunshang's stunning beauty and sighed. "I've long heard that concubine Xianxia is as beautiful as a heavenly immortal and exceptionally clever. Seeing her now truly lives up to her fame. Jiang Fan is truly fortunate." Fairy Yunshang bowed her head in shame. Yunshang was unfaithful and brought disgrace upon Jiang. This was the only blemish in her past life. Su Yoren stepped forward, gently held her hand and looked at her softly. "It's not your fault. Blame it on Jiang Fan's charm, which even made an ethereal fairy like you fall for a mortal." Fairy Yunshang appeared surprised. "Sister, don't you despise me?" Su Yoren shook her head. "How could I despise you? You are a pitiful person caught in circumstances beyond your control. Heaven smiled upon you, letting you meet Jiang Fan. From now on, just be loyal to him." Fairy Yunshang finally let go of her tense heartstrings. She had always heard Liu Qingxian and Yue Mingzhu say how difficult Su Yoren was to get along with. But now it seems it wasn't true. She was quite accepting. Even as someone who once had a husband, she wasn't despised. "Thank you, sister, for letting me be. Yunshang will have no one but Jiang in this life, absolutely loyal." Su Yoren smiled and nodded. She released her hand and turned to look at True Word Venerable. Stepping forward, she said, "Come with me, I have something to tell you." True Word Venerable, seeing Fairy Yun Shang lower her head to Su Yoren, obediently followed. Jiang Fan felt somewhat worried. What does Yoren want to say to True Word Venerable? She won't provoke her, right? While he was still worried, Ling Shu jumped back onto the flying creature's back. Smiling, she raised her jade foot and kicked down a lump of something. Catch this, brother? Jiang Fan only saw a lump of green, fleshy thing, instinctively caught it. But it was a little baby, covered with green scales, with a pair of dragon horns, 2 dragon whiskers at the corners of his lips, and wearing cloth diapers. Who else could it be but the rebellious guy? Jiang Fan disdainfully dropped him to the ground, frowning. You really brought this thing? Ling Shu ran over, rubbed her little foot on the rebellious guy's round belly, and said, Brother, it's quite good now. Sister Yoren has completely enslaved it, pointing at a deer and saying it's a horse. It obediently acts like a horse. Jiang Fan was still somewhat disdainful. I really don't want this thing. Later, just let Yoren take it back to the underworld. The rebellious guy heard. Scared, he quickly climbed up and hugged Jiang Fan's thigh, crying, Big brother, don't let me go back. I get beaten every day there. I never want to go back, just let me follow you. Wah. Ling Shu covered her mouth and laughed. When I went to pick up Sister Yoren, I saw it getting bullied, being beaten by that little Xiu Luo with silver horns on his head. It was so miserable. Jiang Fan's forehead was lined with black streaks. Is it the young Master Usura? The two are about the same age, but the young Master Usura has Ayashura King as his backing. The rebellious guy can only be beaten, unable to hit back. Indeed, it was miserable enough. I don't keep idle demons around me, no interest in having one in diapers. Jiang Fan disdainfully tossed him aside. The rebellious guy cried out, I am useful, very useful. You don't believe me, take a look. He picked up a stone and smashed it against his own chest. With a snap sound, the stone shattered. Jiang Fan was speechless. You're performing chest-crushing stone now? I'm not the leader of a circus troupe. Go on, get out and play somewhere else. The rebellious guy became anxious, said, I'll try something else. He looked around and suddenly saw the thick-necked, middle-aged man's head. He immediately flew over and slammed his chest onto it. Snap! The head instantly shattered into powder. Jiang Fan showed a hint of surprise. The body of a 4 apertures Nascent Soul is very tough, not to mention comparable to a spiritual artifact, but stronger than most magic artifacts. Back when Jiang Fan was still in the core formation realm, even wielding the purple sword, it was hard to cut off the finger of a 1-orifice Nascent Soul. The heavenly mechanism pavilion master also noticed something strange. After thinking for a moment, he took out a fragment of a spiritual artifact and tossed it over. Try this. Rebellious guy ran over on his short legs, picked it up, and slapped it against his chest. But the fragment of the spiritual artifact did not explode. Rebellious guy gritted his teeth, and the green scales on his body emitted a faint green light. Then with all his might, he forcefully slapped it against his chest. Smack! The fragment of the spiritual artifact shattered into pieces. The whole place was in a daze. Even Jiang Fan was stunned. This guy shattered a spiritual artifact just by collision. Is this considered breaking a rock on one's chest? The heavenly mechanism pavilion master clicked his tongue and said, This little guy, if we can really control him, he could be quite useful. At this moment, Su Yoren returned with True Word Venerable. It's unclear what she said to True Word Venerable, but he followed behind her with a humble demeanor, not daring to walk ahead. Seeing rebellious guy, she showed a hint of gratitude and said, Ayashura King asked me to tell you this young true spirit descendant is not simple. You must nurture him well, his future achievements will not be low. As for the means to control him, Su Yoren came in front of Jiang Fan and pressed her forehead against his. A hell inscription emitting black yin chi entered Jiang Fan's soul. Jiang Fan immediately felt a connection with rebellious guy. It seemed that with a single thought, he could wipe out rebellious guy's soul through this connection. The means of control are now yours. How to deal with him, you decide. Jiang Fan was delighted. Without this means, he truly wouldn't dare to take in rebellious guy. Otherwise, if this rascal suddenly gave him a loving headbutt in his sleep, wouldn't he die unjustly? Now things are better. He immediately said, All right, rebellious guy, you can stay. Rebellious guy immediately shed tears of joy. Finally, he could escape that little bully. Jang Fan then asked, Didn't Ayashura King come? He was expecting an Usura King to come and join the celebration. Su Yoren shook her head slightly. She can't come, she said the ancient saint is still there. Jiang Fan suddenly understood. No wonder Ayashura King was willing to stay with the young master in the dark underworld and not come out. Turns out it's not that she doesn't want to, she can't. However, she can't come in person, but she did send a gift. Su Yoren took out a space storage device with a peculiar expression and said, "She also asked me to tell you. Next time, leave some seeds for her, don't pluck everything clean." Jiang Fan glanced at the space storage device in surprise. It was filled with yin qi vegetables. It was 10 times what he had plucked earlier. At the same time, he understood Ayashura King's intention. She had realized that Jiang Fan had stolen the yin qi vegetables. "Jiang Fan, what does the senior's message mean?" Jiang Fan cleared his throat and said, "A blessing, a beautiful blessing for me." Su Yoren acknowledged with an O. Then she seemed to remember something and frowned. "By the way, why haven't I seen Siling?" Jiang Fan sighed and used mute Zen to reveal the matter of the moon Venerate. Su Yoren wasn't surprised. "No wonder. I discovered her talking to herself several times as if she were speaking to someone. Turns out there was still a remnant soul of the moon Venerate in her body." She showed some worry. "I hope that when we meet again, she can still call me sister." Jiang Fan nodded. He lightly embraced her waist and said, "She will. Just like the new Tianji pavilion, everyone will reunite." As soon as he finished speaking, 3 powerful auras came from the sky. They were 3 Taoists with horsetail whisks. The 2 on the sides had cultivation at the 6th stage Nascent Soul. The elderly man in the center, with an immortal demeanor, had an aura reaching the terrifying 7 apertures realm. The oppressive aura they emitted made everyone present feel suffocated as if they were drowning. The elderly man in the center slowly landed in front of the mountain gate and waved the horsetail whisk in his hand, saying calmly, "Which one of you is Jiang Fan?" Fan's eyes narrowed. This pressure is no less than that of the great Yin Sect master. Looking at the way they were dressed in Taoist robes and the Sanking Mountain jade letter they crushed earlier, their identity was obvious. "Are you the Tao leader of Sanking Mountain?" Jiang Fan said in a deep voice. He was somewhat surprised. Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion forcibly establishing a sect here actually directly alerted the Tao leader of Sanking Mountain himself. Is the Tao leader so idle? Does something that an elder can handle require the personal presence of a Tao leader? No, he probably came for another reason. "Are you Jiang Fan?" The Tao leader of Sanking Mountain raised his gaze and looked at Jiang Fan. A yellow ripple spread in his eyes, sweeping over Jiang Fan's body. A trace of surprise filled his eyes. "A 3rd aperture cultivation with a 4 aperture soul power. It seems you have an extraordinary talent in the path of the soul. Elder Xiang's suspicion of you was indeed correct." Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat. Upon hearing this, he already had a guess in his mind. He feared they came because the cold cicada silence pill recipe was deciphered. The Tao leader of Sanking Mountain said indifferently, "Can you tell me how you did it?" He watched Jiang Fan, his tone calm. Yet there was an undeniable sense of pressure. Anyone with an insufficiently firm mind would have succumbed to the pressure and confessed by now. Jiang Fan cupped his hands and said, "Senior, this junior does not know what you are talking about." The Tao leader of Sanking Mountain said expressionlessly, "Cold cicada silence pill, do these 5 words remind you of anything?" Jiang Fan remained calm and said, "I've never heard of it." The Tao leader of Sanking Mountain continually watched Jiang Fan's eyes. He didn't catch any panic in them, nor did he notice any fluctuations in his soul. This made him somewhat doubt if he'd found the wrong person. After pondering for a while, he nodded slightly and said, "Forget it, then I won't ask any more. Xuanxing, help him sit in meditation with no pain left." The old Taoist of the 6th stage Nascent Soul on his left nodded slightly. "Yes, Tao leader." Then he walked through the air towards Jiang Fan. His Taoist robe fluttered and his horsetail whisk floated, giving the impression of a celestial old Taoist. But what he intended to do made one shiver, ready to kill at the slightest disagreement. Jiang Fan said in a deep voice, "Tao leader, aren't you afraid of killing the innocent by mistake?" The Tao leader of Sanking Mountain said indifferently, "A mistaken kill is better than letting a threat go. Since you are suspected, you are guilty." Afterward, he turned his gaze to the people of Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion and said lightly, "Disband here. I don't like killing." With just 2 sentences spoken casually, it revealed the utter tyranny of Sanking Mountain. Though he claimed to dislike killing, he was willing to kill someone without confirmed guilt, showing no mercy. There was no doubt that if the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion master dared to say a word, slaughter would descend. And it would be everyone present, all killed, none spared. Jang Fan laughed angrily. "You Sanking Mountain really makes people detest you." Starting from Xuanxing Shangren, none made him feel any goodwill. The Tao leader of Sanking Mountain's eyes glowed slightly. "From the way you speak, you've interacted with people from our Sanking Mountain?" Then you are not wronged. Capture him. In his eyes, Jiang Fan's life held no value. What was valuable was the method Jiang Fan used to decipher the pill recipe, whether this method had spread out. If others learned it, many of Sanking Mountain's pill recipes would be suspected of being leaked, threatening the foundation of Sanking Mountain sect. This was also why he came personally. Xianxia nodded, yes, Dao leader. He released the powerful aura of a sixth-stage nascent soul, approaching Jiang Fan and said calmly, I will disperse your nascent soul, it won't be painful. But if you resist, I will first break your limbs. Do not be foolish. Jiang Fan's eyes flashed coldly. Noticing the heavenly mechanism Pavilion Master was coming over, he said in a deep voice, Pavilion Master, protect the others. Do not covet. The strength gap is too great, it's not something numbers can fill. Moreover, the Dao leader of Sanking Mountain and another sixth-stage nascent soul had not yet acted. If the people from Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion were all involved, they would certainly get involved too. Do you stand a chance? The Pavilion Master frowned deeply. He expected troubles during the establishment ceremony, but he didn't expect trouble of this magnitude. The Dao leader of Sanking Mountain, one of the 7 great sects, had personally come. Who could have anticipated this? Jiang Fan did not speak. The methods of the great sects' powerhouses are extraordinary, let alone someone second only to the Dao leader. But as the opponent intended to kill him, he had no choice. Xianxia said indifferently, thinking of fighting? You've made a wrong decision. He stepped forward, a layer of vibration imperceptible to the naked eye spread across his body, radiating towards Jiang Fan's body. A soul-level attack? Jiang Fan's heart chilled, daring not to underestimate it in the slightest. The Taoists of Sanking Mountain indeed cultivated soul power, their soul strength and soul techniques were top-notch in Taikang state. Immediately his eyes flashed. Soul-capturing lock! With his 4 apertures nascent soul's soul power, he could affect the 7th orifice nascent soul. The 6th stage nascent soul would definitely lose control of its body for several moments. However, Xianxia's body merely trembled, and in less than a moment he abruptly awoke. A look of surprise appeared on his indifferent face. You can use soul's secret techniques as well. Jiang Fan was equally shocked. This person's soul power probably reached the peak level of the 7 quartet nascent soul. And while he was surprised, Xianxia decisively struck again, his eyes suddenly focusing. 2 soul birds formed by condensed soul energy, the size of thumbs, flew over with a chill instantly. Jiang Fan's heart was shaken. All this time it had been him using soul power to suppress others. Now he had met an even more formidable soul expert, in the blink of an eye. Jiang Fan decisively pulled out the 9 Phoenix KO Dao hairpin, under the urging of the soul. A green light spot rapidly grew into a stout parasol tree. 9 bronze-colored phoenix birds rested upon it. 2 of them suddenly opened their eyes and spread their wings. With a cry, they flew out. They seemed slow, yet accurately reached out with their claws to grab the 2 miniature birds flying at Jiang Fan. A peck with their beaks, and they devoured them. Then they flew in unison towards Xianxia. Xianxia's face showed a touch of emotion. Soul magical treasure. He immediately swung the horsetail whisk in his hand, emitting powerful soul waves, attempting to fend off the phoenix birds. But they completely ignored the soul attack. Together they spread their wings and flew through Xianxia's body. A soul body much stronger than ordinary souls was pulled out. Xianxia's face showed a hint of horror. He shouted, Soul destruction saber. From his chest, a black saber flew out. But what it slashed out wasn't blade energy. Instead, it was a soul-level saber shadow, chopping heavily onto the 2 phoenix birds. The phoenix birds' bodies trembled, their claws loosened. Xianxia hurriedly returned to his body, but right at this moment. Jang Fan yelled, Soul-capturing lock. In the body, the soul of the 7th orifice may not be immobilized by the soul-capturing lock. But once it left the body, unless it reached the divinity transformation realm, no soul could escape the soul-capturing lock. Xianxia had a large part of his soul pulled out by the phoenix. The soul-capturing lock naturally could exert far greater effects than before. In an instant, countless chains bound Xianxia's soul, making it impossible for him to return successfully to his body. A hint of panic spread in his eyes. Seizing the moment before his soul was entirely extracted, he hurriedly shouted again, Soul destruction saber. The black saber lifted once more, slashing towards Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan was already prepared. Little Killin, The space in his arms flickered. Little Killen flashed in front of the black blade, grasped it with its small paws, and then flashed again, taking the blade out of the battlefield. Slash. The black blade struck empty, landing in an unoccupied area. Xianxia Shangren gasped in shock and utterly panicked, hurriedly shouting, "Taoist leader, save me!" He didn't need to remind. The Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain also sensed Xianxia Shangren's dire situation and had already taken action. "Killing someone in front of me, the Taoist leader. You are not worthy." As his words fell, Jang Fan felt intense pain in his soul. The words of the Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain contained an invisible soul attack. Jiang Fan felt his soul being sliced by hundreds of long swords, the pain so intense that his vision darkened, nearly passing out. But with the little consciousness he retained, he decisively took out the golden Buddha. The blazing Buddha light illuminated all around, purifying everything, and healed Jiang Fan's body. The intense pain in his soul instantly dissipated. Xianxia Shangren had just broken free from the soul-capturing lock, ready to return to his body. A clear-minded Jiang Fan's eyes turned fierce. "Come out!" The soul-capturing lock reappeared, thoroughly binding him. As Jiang Fan pushed his soul power to the limit, Xianxia Shangren's soul, like a shell tightly attached to a stone, was forcibly pulled. Once extracted, it could never return to its original body. He would need possession to rebuild. His martial path would be destroyed. Xianxia Shangren's soul body was soon pulled until only his feet remained in the flesh. He screamed in terror, "Taoist leader, save me!" He never imagined. The young man he thought could be easily killed was actually so terrifying. This scene transpired too quickly. Even the Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain was caught off guard. How could he have anticipated that an insignificant junior from the continent would possess Master Puguang's protective golden Buddha? He couldn't rescue in time, only managing to shout angrily, "Stop!" Jiang Fan was filled with murderous intent. They'd kill him at every turn, and now they expect him to just stop. Think he's easy to manipulate. To kill him, Sanking Mountain must suffer a little pain first. "Come out!" he shouted, pushing the soul-capturing lock to the extreme. Finally, with a pop, Xianxia Shangren's soul was pulled out, and the disembodied soul, under the soul-capturing lock, had no power to resist. It was immediately imprisoned into a cluster and flew into Jiang Fan's palm. Without thinking, Jiang Fan sealed it into the ghost soul crystal for safekeeping. He had no time to deal with it. Because the Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain had already angrily taken action, he forcefully swung the horsetail whisk in his hand. Thousands of threads carried the terrifying atorifice soul power, piercing like countless long needles, intending to fill Jiang Fan's soul body with holes. Jiang Fan once again took out the golden Buddha. It released a sky full of Buddha light, forming a giant golden Buddha to protect Jiang Fan behind it. But the golden Buddha could only block a 7-orifice nascent soul strike. The soul power of the Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain had already reached the level of the atorifice nascent soul. The giant Buddha momentarily obstructed, but then suddenly scattered. The originally tiny golden Buddha was also shattered into dust under the horsetail whisk's threads due to the loss of its last trace of Buddha power, but taking advantage of the momentary blockade by the golden Buddha. Jiang Fan had already employed Cloud Shadow Escape. The Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain, eyes full of killing intent, searched for the thunderbolt traces left by Jiang Fan and issued a command. "Xuanyi, destroy Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Leave no one alive." Xuanyi's face was already filled with murderous intent, his eyes icy cold. Gripping the horsetail whisk, he lashed it viciously towards them. "A bunch of scoundrels dare to harm Sanking Mountain's Xianxia Shangren's Dao body. I want all of you buried alongside. Watch out!" Just then, the Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain detected Jiang Fan's trace. The last thunderbolt trace vanished behind Xuanyi. He instantly understood. Jiang Fan wasn't trying to escape, but intending to kill Xuanyi as well. "What?" Xuanyi's pupils contracted, impulsively swinging his horsetail whisk behind. Slam, the seemingly empty space behind was struck by the horsetail whisk. 70% of the force was reflected back, striking himself, making him stagger. Besides, the opponent seized the opportunity as the horsetail whisk struck to deliver a blow to his back. An ethereal tremble. Jiang Fan, bleeding at the mouth, stumbled into view. He held a talisman, half consumed, in his hand, with emerald green flames lingering in his right palm. Seeing the talisman, the face of the Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain changed dramatically. "Hidden spirit talisman? How is it in your hand?" Kinged and Elder Xiang returned, claiming it was stolen by the Black Moon disguised as the Hell Beast. Were they lying? Why? Xuanyi was enraged and humiliated, tricked by his sect's talisman. He shouted angrily, "Taoist leader, hold off on killing him. I want him to see with his own eyes how his disciples die miserably. He must pay a bloody price for his actions." Saying so, he raised the horsetail whisk again. However, suddenly, intense pain flared from his back. He instinctively shook his nascent soul power. But the source of the pain did not detach from his body. Instead, the burning intensified, rapidly spreading across his back. A fiery green flame lit up behind him. Jiang Fan wiped the blood from his mouth, speaking coldly, "You shall first watch yourself die." He spared no reserve in using the precious hidden spirit talisman. How could he give him a chance? Of course, he sent a netherworld ghost fire as his words fell. The netherworld ghost fire surged, instantly engulfing his entire back. The terrifying heat directly burned his back's flesh to black ashes, scattering. Xuanyi urgently struck with the horsetail whisk. Unbeknownst to him, instead of extinguishing the flames, the low-grade spiritual artifact-level horsetail whisk was burned away. Xuanyi was shocked and cried out for help. "Taoist leader, save me!" Swoosh. The Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain was also shocked and immediately wielded the mid-grade spiritual artifact horsetail whisk, striking the flames fiercely. But the whisk's threads, upon contact with the netherworld ghost fire, were ignited and burned along the threads, consuming the entire whisk. The Taoist leader of Sanking Mountain was startled. He decisively severed the silk threads, saving the mid-grade spiritual artifact. Meanwhile, Xuanyi's body rapidly ignited, turning into a raging inferno, emitting horrific screams. Before his body was entirely consumed to ashes, a voice filled with venomous malice roared from within. "Jang Fan, we are irreconcilable." Swoosh. Xuanyi's soul flew out of his body. Having learned from Xuanxing Shangren's example, he fled into the void without giving Jiang Fan a chance to capture his soul. But he underestimated the soul-capturing lock. Jiang Fan was fully prepared and activated the soul-capturing lock while half of his body hadn't yet escaped into the void. Countless chains covered his body, forcibly pulling him back from partial escape into the void. Xuanyi was terrified and shouted tremblingly, "Stop, quickly stop." Tao leader no longer possessed his former ethereal presence. His two most capable elders had been forcibly slain under his watch by a junior, and their souls captured alive. What kind of humiliation was this? "Junior," he roared with eyes wide, unleashing a murderous aura, "release their souls. Otherwise, I will bathe your heavenly mechanism pavilion in blood." As he shouted in rage, the horsetail whisk in his hand lashed out once more at Jiang Fan. This time, no golden Buddha could block this strike. Jiang Fan's eyes flashed coldly, while continuing to drag Xuanyi. He raised his hand to summon a sword box and snorted angrily, "Old geezer, you have nowhere to go either." He slammed his palm against the sword box, revealing the 9-colored light sword within. After 6 or 7 days of nurturing, it was clearly more solid than before. The emitted sword presence was terrifyingly intense. "Go!" Jiang Fan pointed with his finger. The 9-colored sword light resonated with a hum, then flew out from the sword box, heading towards the strands of the horsetail whisk. The moment it appeared, it unleashed a terrifying sword aura. The strands of the horsetail whisk within a 3-zhang radius of the 9-colored sword light melted away entirely. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader's angry face transformed into one of horror. "Jiang Wuya's sword intent? Who exactly are you?" At this moment, he was truly alarmed. Master Puguang's golden Buddha, Jiang Wuya's sword intent, fire worship sects, flame divine skills. What exactly was going on with him? Facing the extremely dangerous 9-colored sword light, he could no longer care about Xuanyi's soul. He hurriedly swung the horsetail whisk, trying to entangle the 9-colored sword light. But how many could withstand Jiang Wuya's sword intent in this world? With a thunderous crash, the mid-grade spiritual artifact horsetail whisk, which had accompanied him for decades, exploded on the spot. The 9-colored sword light did not lose momentum, slashing towards the heart of the Sanking Mountain Tao leader. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader was extremely grave, immediately raising his hands. A black pill furnace appeared between his hands. The pill furnace was engraved with numerous inscriptions. As the Sanking Mountain Tao leader activated it, the black tripod immediately spun, and countless inscriptions flew out, transforming into a light screen that blocked the front. SHHH, the 9-colored sword light sank as if into a mire, losing its sharpness. Immediately, the Sanking Mountain Tao leader's eyes glinted fiercely. He gripped the black tripod and smashed it fiercely against the nine-colored sword light. The nine-colored sword light shattered into pieces. Only a vague, almost invisible sword shadow remained, flying back in return. At this moment, Jiang Fan had just captured Xianxia's soul and threw it into the ghost soul crystal. Seeing this, he decisively recalled the weak sword shadow and continued its nurturing. Inwardly, he felt slightly heavy. After all, this was the Tao leader of a sect, with incredibly formidable means. Jiang Wuya's sword intent could easily kill 8 Torifus Nascent Soul cultivators, and even 9 Aperture Nascent Soul would be quite threatened. Yet, it was blocked by the Sanking Mountain Tao leader using this bizarre black tripod. Looking at the fragments of the horsetail whisk strewn across the ground, the Sanking Mountain Tao leader was deeply pained. Even if he slaughtered everyone in the heavenly mechanism pavilion and tore Jiang Fan apart, it would not compensate for today's loss. His angry old eyes glared at Jiang Fan. "Forced me to use Sanking Mountain sect treasure, it's time for you to meet your end." He slammed the black tripod. The inscriptions on it were reactivated, forming into a long spear. It emitted a chilling power that annihilated all souls. "Even I couldn't withstand this blow. You have no hope either. Die." This was a secret technique that attacked the soul. Unless you were a 9 Aperture Nascent Soul, you couldn't withstand this spear. Jiang Fan, whose soul was merely 4 Apertures Nascent Soul, had only one outcome under this spear. Turned to ashes, Jiang Fan felt immense terror too. His soul shivered, extremely uneasy. At this critical moment, Jiang Fan gritted his teeth, brought out the ultimate killing device, Hell Realm Device Execution Pen. The shadow of the chaotic ancient blood marquee couldn't stop the fully written character Death. Now the ink on the execution pen was much less. The written character of Death might lack the power it once had. Yet it was still a formidable killing device. As he moved his wrist, the execution pen rapidly drained Jiang Fan's nascent soul power. Next came Void Flow Thunder Force. Fortunately, he had successfully broken through to 3 Apertures Nascent Soul, far stronger than when he transcended the tribulation. Thus, he retained his physique strength and Void Flow Fire Force. No longer would he fall into a state of death after using it. The character Death quickly formed, as Jiang Fan pushed with the pen. The character Death flew out, expanding with the wind like an ever-growing giant net, leaving everything no chance of escape. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader's heart skipped a beat, his pupils contracted. What is this? This character Death made him feel a chill to the bone. It also gave him a feeling of deathly fear he hadn't felt since becoming the Tao leader of Sanking Mountain. At this moment, he regretted slightly. He should not have escalated the matter to this point over a mere pill recipe. The opponent was too bizarre with various divine power treasures that made him extremely uneasy, even threatened his life. But now it was too late. It was already a fight to the death between them. If he lived, it would be the end of the heavenly mechanism pavilion. If Jiang Fan lived, it would be his doom. Thinking of this, his eyes were full of killing intent. Kill! The rune spear, constructed from inscriptions, instantly pierced through the void, aiming at Jiang Fan. The character Death stood in front. With the unstoppable nature of the character Death, even the spear was resisted and couldn't advance. But as the character Death continued to spread, the spear, formed by condensed inscriptions, couldn't resist rotting. Bit by bit it decayed. Soon, the spear shattered. What? The Sanking Mountain Tao leader was shocked. What on earth was this thing? It could even decay an attack akin to the soul strike of a 9 Aperture Nascent Soul. Facing the giant net that had already become a canopy and rapidly enveloping him, the Sanking Mountain Tao leader was aghast. He urgently held the black tripod and retreated quickly. But the character Death grew faster and larger. Heaven and earth offered no escape route for the Sanking Mountain Tao leader. Finally, as it was catching up, the Sanking Mountain Tao leader, gripped with fear, seized the black tripod and fiercely smashed it against the canopy of the character Death. The canopy halted for a moment, but still mercilessly passed through the Sanking Mountain Tao leader's body. An invisible deadly intent surged into his limbs and bones, invading his soul. His skin began to darken, and his soul started to decay. The icy chill of death made him feel like a drowning person in an ice river, his entire body stiff. No, no! He hastily consumed a handful of lively spirit pills. The vitality delayed the decay, but did not stop it, until he had consumed all the life-filled spirit pills. His body continued to decay, his skin already blackened and flaking, revealing a horrifying bloody carcass beneath. Meridians and flesh quickly turned black. His eyes also rapidly decayed, about to explode. Black pus flowed from his ears, nose, and mouth. He no longer resembled a Taoist, clearly a menacing blood corpse. He screamed in agony, unable to stop his decay. In panic and fear at the brink of life and death, he gritted his teeth, took out an ancient jade box with several seals, containing a grain of sand within. Fan was not unfamiliar with this. Space-time dust, a divine object sought by those in the divinity transformation realm suffering from the heavenly human 5 declines. It can resist the decay of time and extend life by 60 years. The decaying body before him could indeed be saved with this item. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader was full of regret and venom. Jiang Fan, the space-time dust I pursued my whole life is to be wasted in your hands. I vow to kill all your kin, leaving no living being behind. The preciousness of this item needs no further explanation. He kept it for use when he went mad. It was his life-saving talisman. Now he was forced to use it. It is not hard to understand the depth of hatred he feels. Jiang Fan's body swayed, showing a hint of bitterness on his face. Even after bringing out the killing device, he never expected Jiang Fan to possess the space-time dust. He could only watch helplessly as the Sanking Mountain Tao leader swallowed the space-time dust. The decaying body immediately ceased to deteriorate. A faint sense of impending death was expelled from his body, under the powerful effects of the various vitality spirit pills inside him. His decayed flesh rapidly regenerated, but he hated Jiang Fan too much. Unable to wait for his body to fully regenerate, he clasped his black tripod to attack, roaring fiercely with rage. "I will destroy you!" Jiang Fan took out the sky observation treasure to block the attack. Boom, this angry blow was far more powerful than the one dealt by the great Yin Sect master. The power was immense, far beyond Jiang Fan's endurance. Although the sky observation treasure offset 70% of the force, the remaining power still caused his body to crack, and his organs were nearly in tatters. "Go to hell!" Jiang Fan's gaze suddenly became sharp, revealing a trace of madness. "Just like you." In his palm gathered a green flame, which he used to grasp the arm of the Sanking Mountain Tao leader. The netherworld ghost fire spread rapidly. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader was startled, grimaced. "This fire, it's not enough to kill me?" He gritted his teeth, directly severed his arm, avoiding the threat of the netherworld ghost fire burning his entire body. The great Yin Sect master was wary of the netherworld ghost fire, but not to the point of fear. It shows that once one reaches the 7-orifice Nascent Soul level, there are ways to rid oneself of this fire. Besides, those like the Sanking Mountain Tao leader, leaders of great sects, have countless methods, more techniques to counteract it. He easily evaded it here. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader sneered. "Humph, a fatal move even at the cost of a limb, yet it failed." "Aren't you disappointed?" Unexpectedly, Jiang Fan smiled. "Who told you the fatal move was the netherworld ghost fire?" The Sanking Mountain Tao leader's sneer slightly stiffened, soon realizing something was off. His body was getting hot. No, it was starting to burn, like a spark rapidly spreading within. Soon, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. Looking down, inside him was glowing red as if glowing iron. Then his chest melted open, forming a large hollow. His organs burned into lava-like fragments, cascading down. In the end, his entire body started to disintegrate like a collapsing, burning wooden house. Lava flowed from his 7 orifices. The tightly grasped black tripod, his hands also melted. The black tripod fell with a thud. He staggered, spewing flames from his mouth, wailing in agony. "What have you done? What have you done?" Supporting his wounded body with difficulty, Jiang Fan raised his hand. A tiny green flame, sesame seed-sized, flew back from the Sanking Mountain Tao leader's abdomen into Jiang Fan's body. With such power, it was naturally the fire origin. Though small, it harbored boundless flames. Once penetrated into an enemy's body, they are sure to die. He looked at the collapsing Sanking Mountain Tao leader, saying coldly, "I told you you will remain here too." Swoosh, at this moment, a remnant soul flew from the corpse. Jiang Fan was prepared, soul capturing lock, but just as he activated it, the black tripod suddenly sprang up, capturing the Sanking Mountain Tao leader's soul inside it, quickly disappearing into the void. A venomous roar emanated chillingly. "You killed the Sanking Mountain Tao leader. The entire heavenly mechanism pavilion will die." The heavenly mechanism pavilion master and others looked grave. Ultimately, it was unsuccessful. Once the Sanking Mountain Tao leader's soul returns, it will stir waves of great chaos. Consequences include the Sanking Mountain coming out in full force, possibly involving some awakened atorifious nascent souls. Jiang Fan sneered. You won't have the chance. He attached a hidden spirit talisman in invisibility state. He took out the void fishing rod. Thus, the void fishing rod was also invisible. No one could see what Jiang Fan did. Jiang Fan closed his eyes, focused, and cast the rod. Previously tested by fishing Hua Wuying, as long as the target doesn't escape 500 miles, it can be retrieved. While thinking of the black tripod, the hook traversed the void. Feeling a weight in his hand, Jiang Fan abruptly pulled. The black tripod that fled into the void, together with the Sanking Mountain Tao leader inside, was pulled back. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader's soul, full of menace, was stunned. Before he understood what happened, the chilling voice reached his ears, a voice bringing terror beyond imagination. Welcome back, Sanking Mountain Tao leader. Soul-capturing lock. The Sanking Mountain Tao leader looked to be in utter despair, crying out, No! In an instant, his soul was entwined by countless chains, subsequently imprisoned into the ghost soul crystal. As for the black tripod, Jiang Fan stuffed it into the heavenly thunderstone along with the void fishing rod, quickly removing the hidden spirit talisman. Using it twice in a row, the hidden spirit talisman was already half consumed. The remaining portion was only sufficient for temporary use. This talisman was originally meant to hide from divinity transformation foes. Using it on nascent soul foes truly was a major waste. But in exchange, he got a mysterious black tripod. It's hard to say whether it was a loss or gain. Swoosh! The little Killin flew over holding the large black blade of Xianxia Shangren. This blade specializes in slashing souls and is quite formidable as a spiritual artifact. Jiang Fan collected it as well. Then, he looked at the three corpses. The corpses of the Sanking Mountain Tao leader and Xianxia, along with their space storage devices, had been reduced to ashes. Only Xianxia's body remained relatively intact. Considering this, Jiang Fan walked over, drew the purple sword, and chopped off its head. Such a complete body could be used for possession and rebirth, ultimately a hidden threat. Then, he removed the space storage device and tossed it into his sleeve, finding an opportunity to properly examine it to see if Xianxia can be accessed. A storage ring belonging to a sixth-stage nascent soul surely would contain valuable items. Finally, he looked at the execution pen in his hand. The ink on it was completely gone, unable to write the word death again. He couldn't help but feel regret. This pen had helped him greatly numerous times, but from now on it could hardly be used again. Where to find that red ink? Putting away the execution pen, Jiang Fan struggled to endure his pained body, smiled, and looked at everyone. The crisis is temporarily averted, but what follows, we need to plan carefully. After all, the Sanking Mountain Tao leader and two strong adversaries are dead. But the mighty Sanking Mountain remains. How to counter them needs careful thinking. Unexpectedly, just then, a chilling voice without warning spoke. You won't wait for later. Jiang Fan's pores stood on end. An intense warning sign made his heart race. Update at that very moment, Jiang Fan instinctively activated the netherworld ghost fire enveloping his entire body. SSSS, almost simultaneously, a blood hand appeared at Jiang Fan's neck. Just as it was about to squeeze, the netherworld ghost fire surged up, scorching the blood hand and causing thick black smoke to rise. The blood hand swiftly disappeared through spatial teleportation. When it reappeared, it was already 100 Zhang away from Jiang Fan. And there, the space rippled. Three overwhelmingly powerful figures emerged. They were cloaked with somber expressions emanating streams of black aura. The strength of the individuals on either side was at the 5 apertures nascent soul and 6th stage nascent soul. The one in the center was a terrifying 7 orifice nascent soul. Judging from their actions, it was not hard to deduce their identity. The White Bone Alliance, along with Jiao Huangyin, the muscular middle-aged man, and the 3 before him. All 5 nascent soul realm members of the White Bone Alliance had revealed themselves. This shocked Jiang Fan and weighed heavily on his mind. The White Bone Alliance leader was actually a 7 orifice nascent soul. To deal with the Sanking Mountain Tao leader, he had used all his means, ultimately relying on the fire origin to kill him. The 3 White Bone Alliance experts before him must have been hidden in the dark, observing everything. With precautions in place, Jang Fan had no chance to repeat his old tricks. White Bone Alliance, Jiang Fan said in a firm voice, you truly are relentless. The face of the White Bone Alliance leader was shrouded in a black mist, making it impossible to see clearly. but he could sense a pair of sharp and gloomy eyes fixed intently on Jiang Fan. "You have quite the nerve. Repeatedly killing my White Bone Alliance members." Repeatedly, Jiang Fan furrowed his brow slightly. Killing the muscular middle-aged man with the White Bone Alliance noticing, he was not surprised. But the last time was in the underground palace where Hua Wuying slept. How did the White Bone Alliance know? Could it be? He showed a trace of surprise. "What have you done to Muying and her uncle?" The White Bone Alliance leader said calmly, "Almost dead. We kept them alive to identify you. Since you have appeared, they are worthless now." Still alive. Jang Fan felt a slight relief. If the two had died because of his involvement, his guilt would be overwhelming. "Release them," the White Bone Alliance leader replied indifferently. "You seem to be joking in a way I don't understand. Isn't your current situation precarious? Where do you get the confidence to ask me to let people go?" As Jiang Fan focused on recovering his nascent soul power, he responded calmly. "My name is Jiang Fan, a disciple of Venerate Zinny. Is that confidence enough?" The black mist on the White Bone Alliance leader's face flickered, and the strong individuals on either side showed surprise. Evidently, they hadn't expected Jiang Fan to have such a status. The White Bone Alliance leader stated firmly, "How do you prove it?" Jiang Fan responded, "Ask Hua Wuying, he'll give you the answer." The three remained silent. Accurately naming Hua Wuying was proof enough that what Jiang Fan said was true, because they had never revealed their real names. Only Hua Wuying, who interacted with Venerate Zinny, had used his real name. This person could utter it. Surely he had seen Hua Wuying himself, and he was not afraid of verification, so it was likely true. The White Bone Alliance leader glanced at his headless subordinate, then said seriously, "Since you're one of us, I won't make things difficult for you. You took the coffin, didn't you? Hand it over and this matter will be closed." The blood coffin. Jiang Fan considered the blood coffin was of no use to him personally. Taking it was to block the transmission array, preventing Hua Wuying's behind-the-scenes supporter from using it to descend upon Sanking Mountain. It was also to prevent Evil Crow Venerable from obtaining it, allowing him to recover. He contemplated, "Giving it to you isn't impossible, but I need to know what you intend to do with it." The sixth-stage Nascent Soul member of the Alliance scolded fiercely, "Taking advantage and being cheeky. Just because you're Venerate Zinny's disciple, don't think we won't dare do something to you. Even if you were a true disciple, ruining our plans would still mean your death." His sudden agitation indicated Jiang Fan's question touched a sensitive nerve. It also indirectly suggested they had backing not inferior to Venerate Zinny's. Enough to declare true disciples of Venerate Zinny wouldn't be spared. What on earth was their background? The White Bone Alliance leader's voice turned more somber. "I will say it one last time. Hand over the blood coffin. Otherwise, Venerate Zinny won't be able to protect you." Jiang Fan pondered deeply, for a moment unsure whether to hand it over. At that moment, Su Yoren ran over and exchanged a glance with Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan understood, started mute zen, and said, "What is it?" Su Yoren said, "I intended to tell you when no one was around. While accompanying the little young master, I unintentionally overheard Ayashura King's soliloquy. She said Dongfeng Kanyu sent his son out of Central Earth. He now mingles among the human clan with high status." "What?" Jiang Fan gasped. Hua Wuying was a figure from 1,000 years ago. If someone who extended his life still lived, wouldn't that mean his lifespan is now 1,000 years? Judging by lifespan, not nascent soul realm, not divinity transformation realm, but great sage realm, an Asura clan emperor-level powerful figure disguised as a great sage of the human clan. This news is absolutely stunning, incomprehensibly shocking. A chill crawled up Jiang Fan's spine. He couldn't imagine the consequences if such a figure arrived in Taikang State via the transmission array. In an instant, all life on Sanking Mountain might vanish. So can this blood coffin be returned to the White Bone Alliance? Absolutely not. He must not let the Asura clan emperor know he took the blood coffin. Looking at the White Bone Alliance before him, a boundless killing intent rose in Jiang Fan's heart. None of them can be left alive. Su Yoren added, "I overheard this, it might not be true. Consider it yourself." Jiang Fan replied, "You are overthinking it. With Ayashura King's level of cultivation, how could she let you overhear her speaking? She deliberately said it for you to hear as a way to warn me. Her master and Dongfeng Kanyu, no matter their discord, it's an internal affair of the Hell Realm. Why would it be told to us in the Central Earth Realm? So she bent the message to let me know." Su Yoren suddenly realized. She finally understood Ayashura King's goodwill. As a Hell Realm entity, her help towards the central Earth Realm, in a sense, was betrayal to the Hell Realm. She felt thankful. "I will take good care of her little young master." Jiang Fan said, "You should step back. Next, there's going to be a deadly battle. The blood coffin can't be given away under any circumstance." When Su Yoren stepped back, Jiang Fan's gaze gleamed. He said, "Fine, I'll return what belongs to its origin. But I hope you keep your promise and don't trouble our heavenly mechanism pavilion again." Alliance leader nodded lightly. "Of course. We just want the blood coffin." Jiang Fan had no more doubts. He took out the heavenly thunder stone and rubbed his finger over it, but what appeared in his palm was not the blood coffin. It was the black tripod. Following the Sanking Mountain Tao leader's example, he injected the remaining soul power into it. The inscription on the black tripod immediately activated, appearing before him. With a thought from Jiang Fan, it transformed into a long spear. Although it was far less powerful than before, it still had the impact equivalent to a 7-orifice Nascent Soul's attack. He focused on the White Bone Alliance leader and shouted, "Go!" Swoosh! The inscribed long spear pierced through the void. The White Bone Alliance leader, well prepared, snorted heavily through his nostrils. "I knew you wouldn't stay honest." He opened his mouth, spitting out a mouthful of black blood. When it splattered onto the inscribed long spear, the spear began to emit black smoke with a hissing sound. It rapidly decayed. The effect was surprisingly not inferior to the death inscription. The White Bone Alliance leader's killing intent flashed. "I gave you a chance. Attack, kill them all." He ordered 2 subordinates, while he himself moved towards Jang Fan with unmatched killing intent. At this moment, Jiang Fan's nascent soul power was almost depleted. How could he be a match for the 7-aperture nascent soul in a critical moment? He turned his thought and gritted his teeth. "Yun Shang!" He could only try it. Fairy Yun Shang immediately understood Jiang Fan's intention. She tapped True Word Venerable beside her and then ran towards Jiang Fan. True Word Venerable frowned at the sight. He disappeared into thin air and appeared beside Jiang Fan. He tightly held her arm, preventing anyone from snatching her. Just then, the White Bone Alliance leader flashed over, his heart pounding at the sight of the woman who had appeared beside Jiang Fan bizarrely. But there wasn't time to think more. The blood coffin in Jiang Fan's hands must be retrieved. He raised his palm and swung, allowing the demonic chi on his face to surge. A pitch-black demon claw emerged, piercing fiercely towards Jiang Fan. This strike was as dangerous as the blood hand. It was no longer something Jiang Fan could block. He glanced at True Word Venerable beside him, without any confidence that True Word Venerable would make a move. The demon claw attacked instantly. Yet True Word Venerable had no reaction. Jiang Fan's heart sank with disappointment, and he had no choice but to fight back. He once more mobilized the fire origin within him, ready to fight to the death. Thud! Suddenly, the demon claw froze in front of Jiang Fan. True Word Venerable had, at some unknown time, reached out her hand, casually clutching the demon claw. She frowned, puzzled as she looked at the demon claw, then at the White Bone Alliance leader. Seemingly, she did not understand what the White Bone Alliance leader was intending to do. The White Bone Alliance leader's pupils shrank. The corrosiveness of this demon claw was comparable to the black blood just now. Even a 9-aperture nascent soul would experience flesh and blood decay upon touch, yet this woman in front of him held it without a thought. At this moment, True Word Venerable also felt the stinging pain in the skin of her palm. She frowned and forcefully clenched, crushing the demon claw. Thud! The White Bone Alliance leader suffered severe trauma, spitting out a mouthful of blood, exclaiming in shock, "Quickly retreat! This is a divinity transformation, Venerable." What? The 2 subordinates beside him turned pale with fright. A divinity transformation, Venerable? Aren't they supposed to have a divine ring? How could the woman in front of them be a venerable without a divine ring? Looking at the heavily injured White Bone Alliance leader, the 2 did not dare to linger, quickly helping him to flee. Jiang Fan anxiously said, "True Word Venerable, quickly kill them." True Word Venerable looked at Jiang Fan in confusion, either not understanding the meaning of killing or not comprehending why they should be killed. No action was taken. Jiang Fan was greatly regretting a 1 in 1,000 chance. He could only watch helplessly as the 3 members of the White Bone Alliance fled. If these 3 were to contact that great sage realm and inform them of the blood coffin's whereabouts, he'd be in big trouble. Gritting his teeth, Jiang Fan said, "Leave one to greet the guests, the rest follow me." The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master immediately understood Jiang Fan's intention. The enmity was already forged. leaving only a fight to the death between the White Bone Alliance and the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. With these three in the Nascent Soul realm gone, the other members of the Alliance couldn't be spared. With a call from the Pavilion Master, everyone chased after them. Not long thereafter, they arrived at the White Bone Alliance. It was built at the area of Sanking Mountain with the most abundant spiritual energy, where the bodies of many local loose cultivators lay at the foot of the mountain. Some were those who rashly came to disrupt. Some were the original owners of the mountain. Others were loose cultivators enslaved by the White Bone Alliance, used to construct the alliance and killed once their use was done. Among them were some disheveled, cruelly mutilated, decomposing female corpses. The White Bone Alliance had been established for only 2 months, yet it had already committed so many sins. Within a few more years, would there be any chance for the loose cultivators of Sanking Mountain? The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion Master's eyes grew cold. No wonder Wang Yuandao's group of loose cultivators dared not join the White Bone Alliance. The style of the White Bone Alliance is not far short of the demon path. Slave, heart, demon emperor, you guard the gate, and kill anyone who escapes. Don't let them go. Everyone else attack? Along with the rebellious guys, they had 8 nascent souls and demon emperors. In the absence of a nascent soul overseeing the alliance, the fate of the ordinary members was predictable. Jang Fan led the charge. Although he didn't have nascent soul power, his physique remained, and the void flow fire force was intact. The 9th layer of core formation members could not withstand a casual blow from him. He left the killing to the others. He himself captured a live one and forced the information on Muying and her uncle's whereabouts. Not long thereafter, he appeared in a foul-smelling dungeon. Inside were many captured loose cultivators, mostly young and beautiful women. Some were dead, while many were barely alive. Without exception, they all suffered torment. Jiang Fan split open the cage casually and freed them all. And in a search, he finally found Muying and her uncle. Muying weakly leaned against a corner of the wall, her fingers of both hands all broken, her body covered in multiple gruesome wounds. Her uncle had his eyes gouged out and bones all over broken. Jiang Fan was filled with anger. These beasts. Muying also spotted Jiang Fan, showing surprise. "Junior brother Jiang, why are you here?" She wanted to get up but couldn't stand. Because her kneecaps were shattered. A pang hit Jiang Fan's heart as he hurried forward, saying, "Don't move." He fed each of them a revitalizing pill. Only when he felt their injuries starting to heal did he ask, "Didn't you escape? Why were you captured again?" Taikang's state was so vast, once they left Sanking Mountain, it was like a drop of water falling into the vast sea. He couldn't fathom how, with just over 100 people in the White Bone Alliance, they found them. Muying couldn't help but shed tears, shaking her head. "I don't know either. We hid in a small city's market, yet they still found us." Muying's uncle awoke. Although he couldn't see, he heard Jiang Fan's voice, weakly saying, "It should be the Heavenly Mechanism Elder. Only he can intercept the Heavenly Mechanism and discern the hidden secrets of everything." The White Bone Alliance must have paid a considerable price to engage the Heavenly Mechanism Elder in finding our location. Spirit sounds instructions. She told him to hand the letter over when he saw the Heavenly Mechanism Elder. Jiang Fan pondered. The Heavenly Mechanism Elder is so formidable. Why doesn't the White Bone Alliance directly have him find me? That way you wouldn't have to endure so much suffering. Uncle Muying said, "I don't know. There must be some restrictions as well, requiring certain elements to work. For example, the White Bone Alliance probably reported the names of those who went to the underground palace this time to the Heavenly Mechanism Elder. It's through the names that they found us. As for Jiang Sr.'s name, the White Bone Alliance does not know, so they can't provide the elements." "Is that so? This Heavenly Mechanism Elder is quite extraordinary. Wait a minute." Jiang Fan suddenly remembered something, with a hint of unease in his eyes. If that's the case, wouldn't it be a piece of cake for Venerate Zinny to have the Heavenly Mechanism Elder find me? All he needs to do is provide the element of cultivating void-flowing thunder force to successfully lock onto Jiang Fan. Yet, Venerate Zinny has not found him until now. It's unclear if the Heavenly Mechanism Elder can't find Jiang Fan or just refuses to help Venerate Zinny find him. This old fellow truly is a significant hidden threat. If only I could meet him, maybe find out Venerate Zinny's weaknesses, or perhaps ways to deal with Venerate Zinny or something. "Where is the Heavenly Mechanism Elder?" Jiang Fan thought of this and asked. Uncle Muying shook his head. "Don't know. The Heavenly Mechanism Elder is elusive and unpredictable. It's not someone you can meet just because you want to. Even Venerates rarely see him. Is that so? Jiang Fan felt slightly relieved. In this case, it's possible that Venerate Zinny hasn't encountered the heavenly mechanism elder. Thanks, looking at the two people's unbearable wounds, he said remorsefully. You guys better not go anywhere in the future. Just stay at my heavenly mechanism pavilion. Muying tearfully said. You don't blame us for betraying you, Jiang Fan sighed. I dragged you into this, it's already good enough that you don't blame me. Besides, it's only human to not withstand such torture. Enough said. I'll take you away, taking state. A sect in a remote land. An elder who had recently broken through to the nascent soul realm knelt trembling on the ground. Behind him, his nascent soul power manifested. In front of him, Venerate Zinny held a long list, densely filled with names of sects. He crossed out the one in front of him. Looking at the remaining hundreds of small sects, he frowned deeply. There's still so many sects to check, with only 2 months left. Is it enough? At this moment, the communication jade pendant at his waist rang. Opening it, it was a message from a vice-building master of Jiangshan first-class building. Venerate, someone has found clues regarding the whereabouts of the heavenly mechanism elder you placed a bounty on. Venerate Zinny's eyes flashed with sharpness. The heavenly mechanism elder has finally surfaced. If he can be found, tracking down the practitioner of the void-flowing thunder force will be a breeze. Heavenly mechanism pavilion. Nangong Zioyan led a little cow, pacing back and forth at the mountain gate. 4 presences approached from afar in the sky. 2 of them were Bai Xin and her subordinate Hua Wuying. The other was Tong Fei and his subordinate Yang Yuntao. Hua Wuying looked at the empty heavenly mechanism pavilion and was stunned. Isn't this the right place? Yang Yuntao was equally puzzled. No mistake. I just asked the local loose cultivators. This is definitely the heavenly mechanism pavilion. Why does the sect establishment ceremony have no disciples present? Tong Fei coldly snorted. I really don't understand why such a small sect's establishment ceremony requires us 2 householders to attend. My Kinshin Bureau governs Taking State and patrols hundreds of sects. Since when have we lowered ourselves to congratulate a small sect? His subordinate Yang Yuntao chuckled. Householder, please calm down. Jang Fan obtained significant news about the descent of the ancient giant and made great contributions. As he is temporarily a sky watcher of the Kinshin Bureau, it's only proper for us to offer congratulations. Tong Fei glanced at him, saying, because he saved your life, you're singing his praises. Yang Yuntao could only keep quiet. He had volunteered to come, naturally out of a sense of gratitude. Last time, when he used soul techniques to examine that woman's soul, he suffered a backlash from the restriction. On the brink of death and soul dispersion, it was Jiang Fan who saved him with a spirit pill. Now that Jiang Fan's heavenly mechanism pavilion is holding its sect establishment ceremony, how could he not be present to give support? Hua Wuying smirked. You should have advised the great wine sacrifice not to let Tong Qianhu come. With a sour face, he'll spoil Jiang Fan's mood. Bai Xin, expressionless, looked at Tong Fei, saying, Tong Qianhu, today is a celebration. Please mind your words and actions. With that, they approached the mountain gate. Looking at the young girl leading the little cow, Bai Xin asked, Is today the sect establishment ceremony of the heavenly mechanism pavilion? Nangong Zioyan's expression tightened, and she quickly said, Yes, welcome esteemed guests to the heavenly mechanism pavilion's sect establishment ceremony. She muttered to herself. Besides the 2 senior fire worship sect brothers and sisters of the pavilion master, why are there other guests at our heavenly mechanism pavilion? The 4 wore standardized uniforms, clearly not disciples of the fire worship sect. Hua Wuying looked around curiously, puzzled. Since it's the sect establishment ceremony, where are your people? Nangong Zioyan hesitated for a moment. She replied awkwardly, to report to the 4 distinguished guests. Our heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples went out to fight. The 4 were directly stunned on the spot. On the day of the sect establishment ceremony, the entire sect went out to fight, leaving just a little girl to watch the gate. Hua Wuying's forehead was lined with black. Your heavenly mechanism pavilion is quite combative. Nangong Zioyan hurriedly said, No, our heavenly mechanism pavilion disciples are very friendly. We are a peaceful sect. Bai Xin suddenly sniffed the air. She smelled a bloody scent, a human one at that. Following the smell, she walked to a pile of weeds on the side, where 2 hideous headless corpses lay conspicuously. Nangong Zioyan stuck out her tongue and quickly said, Let me explain. Things aren't what you think they are. These 2 people were yelling for a fight, and we were acting in self-defense. Hua Wuying looked up at the archway. The 3 blood-red characters for Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. Muttered, "Isn't it blood?" Nangong Zioyan panicked, coughed, and said, "We couldn't find the paint for a while. It's an on-site material, economical and frugal." Yang Yuntao frowned, picked up a suspicious pile of ash from the ground, sniffed it in front of his nose, and said in shock, "This is human bone ash. They were completely incinerated." Nangong Zioyan's face was covered in sweat, explaining, That was the enemy too. They accidentally burned themselves. It has nothing to do with us." Oh dear. The Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion hasn't even opened yet, and it's already earned a reputation for ruthless killing. Fortunately, she appeared so innocent and tried hard to explain. As the crime scene was at the mountain gate of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, it fitted the usual scenario of someone coming for revenge. Therefore, the four quickly exchanged opinions and chose to believe her. Hua Wuying chuckled, "You should have cleaned it up better. Without knowing, they'd think this is a demonic sect establishment ceremony." Nangong Zioyan smiled awkwardly, secretly feeling relieved. Luckily, thanks to her silver tongue, she successfully salvaged the reputation of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion. She really had it tough. Later, she decided to demand a good reward from Jiang Fan. And with that, the members of the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion returned. They were cheerfully chatting. Liang Feiyan's loud voice echoed all over the mountain. "Ha ha ha, exhilarating. Our Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion is invincible. On the day of sect establishment, we destroyed a sect. Who dares to be so blind in the future? Ha ha ha."